Always wondering if your home is safe? Giant hassle. But getting the Vivid Smart Security System?
What was that?
We sell a lot of records, and records cost a lot of money. But what good is spending a lot of money if your records don't sound good because of dust and static electricity? That's why I recommend to all our customers the new record vacuum by Ronco. It's so easy to use. Just insert any size record, 33 1/3, 45s, 78s. The new record vacuum automatically vacuums away all the microdust particles that distort sound and can damage your needle. It also eliminates static electricity buildup. The record vacuum by Ronco protects your records and gives you all the quality sound you paid for. It makes this sound like this. For the price of a couple of albums, protect your records and prevent damage to your needle. If you want the best possible sound from all your records, get the new record vacuum by Ronco. In fact, buy 2 or 3. They really do make great Christmas gifts.
And they're only $14.88.
Available at Payless, MyMart, Newberry, and 7-Eleven, and Fred Meyer.
The Power Glove for your NES. Now you and the games are one. Everything else is child's play.
Everybody needs a Yugo sometime.
I bought my Yugo because now I can afford a brand new car.
I think it's fun to drive, and it beats my old car pool.
I like the rack and pinion steering and the front wheel drive.
We wanted a dependable second car.
And this Yugo's just what we need.
The 87 Yugo GV is still only $39.90. Call 1-800-USA-YUGO for the dealer nearest you.
Everybody needs a Yugo sometime.
Great American Furniture's Christmas sale starts the day after Thanksgiving, and we have a huge selection of furniture that will turn your house into a home. Recliners, 10 to 30% off. Dining room sets, 10 to 40% off. Lane cedar chests save up to 50%.
Charlie's Place. You can use an electric sign. Charlie, set up the Stag beer. Oh, business is off to nothing. No jukebox, no service. Charlie, let's make it lively here with some Stag. Shh, shh. Leaky radiators. Oh, they'll ruin business every time. Put down that menu, sir, and join me in a refreshing Stag beer. Oh, there's nothing like Stag brew to refresh you through and through. Charlie, you better get out here with some more Stag, or you'll...
Shh, quiet, please.
Oh, don't whisper, gal. Speak up. Where's the Stag?
Stag may be found under wildlife.
Oh, yay. Oh, that is a corker. Go ahead, sir. Drink up. And the next time you look for complete refreshment, look for Stag beer. Yeah. Oh, the commercial again. Time to get myself a Stag beer. Wish someone were here to enjoy it with me. Why, Bottomley, I didn't hear you come in. Take off your hat, and I'll get another Stag. Oh, by George, Stag always brings them best together.
Back in the couch, go grab Grandma. Get the dog spot, sit him right down. You're looking for something you ain't never seen before. You're looking for a home with a Loch Ness monster, Roddy Piper. You're looking, they grab the children, grab the women, tell the policemen, turn in their baggage. Cause I'm coming to your living room, so bar the doors or I don't get in for that. I'm Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
Exciting wrestling action, Sunday nights at 11:30.
Christmas gift values up to $15, now only $4.96 at Kmart. The amazing cookie machine, delicious decorative fun. Make beautiful rugs with the amazing speed tufting kit. Create exciting fancy foods with the potato chip machine. The bottle and jar cutter recycles throwaway bottles and jars into beautiful glassware. The rhinestone and stud setter stylizes jeans, shirts, anything. Homemade ice cream is easy with the automatic ice cream machine. Get these great Christmas gift values for just $4.96 only at Kmart.
G.I. Joe forces hit back while they move their secret recon satellite to safety. But blasting down from Devil's Mountain, Cobra's gonna hijack it. Here come the reinforcements. You control the action with G.I. Joe High Adventure Trucking. Now, Cobra's desperate. They'll ram, squeeze to safety. Headquarters are secure now, so move around back. G.I. Joe High Adventure Trucking. By PICKLE, of course.
Are you trying to have sex with me? Are you trying to have sex with me? Are you trying to have sex with me? What's up, everybody? Oh, cyberspace, good ass cyber fanboss galore. People, what is happening? Sorry, prostate. It's Friday night. You know what that means. It's time for the CREEM Stream. That's right. We've done 173 of these things. Well, 2. We're on 73 right now. But it's kind of crazy. It's been a weird, long, weird trip we've been on. It's good to have everybody here tonight. And we've got a full house. We're packed to the gills. With I do want to introduce first our special guest tonight is Erin Bell.
Hello. Special in all kinds of ways. Thank you.
Yes, and Belle was my guest last Sunday on the ice cream interviews. She did a fantastic job. We had fun. It's a good show. I recommend it. I don't know. It's people said they thought it was good. Anyway,
We had fun. Thank you for having me.
we had a lot of positive feedback from that. Just saying. Let's see. All right, so in the house, we'll go like we always do in alphabetical order. A is for Timma.
Hi, everybody.
B is for Becca Fairley.
Hey, guys.
C is for She Gone.
Hello.
E is for XL.
Hi.
R is for Roasted Opinions.
Good evening, everybody.
S is for Stone Monkey.
Why, yes, I am.
Indeed. And T is for Trippypoop.
What's up, everybody?
My man. How y'all doing?
It's been a good week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If it wasn't Friday, bad things would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't
Agree.
What does that mean? I'm scared.
It's been a week. Yeah.
It has been a week, man. News-wise, it's been crazy too. So tonight's news deal is going to be very focused, everybody. So, but we're not going to get to that yet because we got all kinds of shit to do. Everybody's got to check in. Then we got to do our 2 minutes of hate for the week. And If you don't know what that is, it's something that I don't know. We just kind of started doing because it just sounded fun. Because it's based on the book 1984, and the backdrop behind the demon tranny happens to be the 2 Minutes of Hate from the movie 1984. So, with that said,
Oh no, here she comes.
are you ready? It's time for you know who.
I gotta click on the thing. Oh, no, I don't. I already have it open. Yay! Yay! My favorite part of the whole show.
Remember,
Hooters
folks,
there,
you
so much.
can make her go away. Just
That's
don't.
right.
I was looking at the wrong screen.
The lovely.
Right.
It kind of sucked the way I had to. Earlier, I was listening to AP talk to Adrastia's aunt, who sounded funny as shit. Dude, you could make a show around her, and it would work. I think. You know.
It's pretty hilarious how he actually got the fucking bitch's aunt on the stream.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, it's very creative and very. Yeah, I got the F2, so it's somehow it's not doing it again. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm running everything's running at the correct frame rate. I'm not pumping too much of a signal out here. You know, I don't know. We're just going to go with how it is. I mean, I can't believe the algorithm would be offended by this. If the algorithm was offended by this, it would throw me money.
I would hope so.
Maybe that's what the ad was for.
The ads don't count. I got ad block. Hey, Monkey needs some kibbles, guys. Help out here.
You know what the most disturbing part of that picture is? That picture is from a person sitting in a library in front of children.
Full of little children.
Before or after the balls fell out?
They all went home with nightmares.
I'm sure.
Because it was one of those situations.
Carl DeGroza donates 30 and says, "This better make Fauci's wife disappear." That's right. Well, he said that last week. He said that's Fauci's wife. So we're going to do the cleansing flames. The cleansing. Where did it go? The cleansing. The cleansing flames.
The cleansing flames are broken.
Now they're cleansing now. Now Demon Cranny should be gone, and we should be in the 2 Minutes of Hate room. Thank you, Carl. You awesome motherfucker. He is awesome.
I agree.
I need to buy y'all an ice cream cone after this. I need to figure out how to do that.
I'll take 12. You guys can watch
Indeed.
me pitching around on the floor afterwards.
I just ate a bowl of ice cream. I'm good.
Yum balls. What kind?
I'm just
come in here and share it?
stoked to be here. It was Neapolitan ice cream with a bunch of chocolate sauce on it.
Well, it sounds good, man. Everybody loves that ice cream. It's a treat. And every Sunday you can get your ice cream on this channel. I don't know, man. I am in a weird mood, y'all. I don't know what's going on. Becca said she's froggy, and it scares me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when Becky's froggy. When Becca's froggy, it can get real interesting. I'm just saying, it's happened before. So I'll stand by that statement. Fam.
When she's froggy, she jumps.
Dude.
I do a lot.
Yeah.
The weirdest shit will come out of my mouth too.
He also gains the amazing ability to navigate crossing the street through massive amounts of traffic.
Frogger used to be my favorite video game too. I was good at that game.
Dude, it's a good game.
I need to find it. I wonder if that's on Steam so I can download it and play it.
Yes.
Might be free on there.
Well, there's several versions of it that are there, but the original, I think you have to run an emulator to play.
We're about to get some BECCA Please streams of her playing Frogger.
I don't know. It might be on one of the 8-bit game forums too, though.
raises Becca a budget to buy an Atari.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's like 5,000 versions of Frogger that you can get for free.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, I didn't think anybody would give a shit about me playing that Blade Runner game. And
It's a good game.
Yeah, I got some hits out of it. It's like, wow, that's crazy, man. Because I truly love that game. I got to break it back out. I've been having personal problems, health-wise, back problems and shit. So I haven't been able to sit in my good chair for lengths of time. Now I can. That's a good thing.
Sweet.
It was not my kidneys, so my kidneys are not fucked up.
Yay.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
That's good.
But my
That's
liver
actually kinda
is.
funny, my dad.
But your liver.
Yeah, well,
Dude, I've treated my liver like a battered wife its whole life.
it's cool, dude. It grows back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your kidneys, you only have one of them. Let's keep that in mind. You can let go of kidney. You kind of need that liver.
Yeah, here.
Get going.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just a little fatty. So we gotta drop some pounds.
I have
Right.
fatty liver. I have to deal with that too. I should probably stop drinking.
Chico, is this a picture of a penis? What is this?
She was telling us about those before.
It's a mushroom.
Oh! What'd you call those? A devil's dick mushroom?
Stinkhorn.
A what?
Stinkhorn.
Okay.
Stinkhorn. It smells like death.
Oh yeah, they
basically.
stink.
Yeah.
She was saying with the demon tranny loosely. She's got a bunch of those on her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
she's got
shit.
fucking death on her head. That's
Yeah.
all I see.
Man, it makes it even creepier, man, when
Yeah.
you say that,
Yeah.
you know? It's crazy. That's so crazy. Oh, my God. So, all right, 2 minutes of hate. Let's start. Who wants to? Does anybody want to start? Has anybody got some hate they want to let out?
Sure. This time the hate is directed at myself.
Uh-oh.
So I've spent the last about 6 weeks in physical therapy, and I had finally gotten to the point where I was using weights and starting to do strength training, and I was no longer doing corrective stretching to put myself back where I'm supposed to be physically. Then I did some things wrong, and now I'm out of place again, and I basically have to almost start back from the beginning.
Okay.
So I pushed too hard. I tried to do too much stuff at once and fucked myself up. And I'm mad at myself for it because I knew better, but I did it anyway. Because you know that compunction to finish what you start kind of thing. So, yeah. So hate on me because I pushed myself and I knew better, but I did it anyway.
Dang you for trying too hard.
I know. Didn't think it would set me back this many weeks, but whatever. It's on
You
me.
made the conscious choice to go back to start, so hey, sorry.
You know what really grinds
I gotta
my
go back to
gears?
Start on that.
All right, you want to go, Star Monkey? 2 minutes?
You know what really grinds my gears? Idiots that don't do their fucking jobs. All fucking week long. Either people can't be bothered to come to work, or when they come to work, they can't be bothered to do anything. Our plant, like half the shit went down this week, and our maintenance guys couldn't be bothered to fix anything. Or show up.
This is your hate built up for 2 weeks now.
It's
right?
It's been horrible. It's been a shitty week.
So
I'm
what?
still
All right, so
having
what
a
is
problem.
this? Is it spring fever, or are you dealing with like younger people?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
All right, because these youngins are like worthless nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, man, it's
completely.
like, yeah. So we have, what, 2 generations of people that were given trophies for just showing up, and we're surprised that they're all fucking lazy as fuck, and I don't know.
Well, there's enough of us scattered throughout Generation X that we've been able to influence enough of Generation Z that it should keep the generations going.
Hopefully. Somebody needs a kick in the pants.
Okay,
Just saying.
You got to remember that the majority of Zoomers haven't even hit 16 yet.
Oh, that's going to be awesome when they're all driving.
Yeah, I'm terrified of my daughter driving, but hey, at the same time, we'll see. She's pretty good on a mower and pretty good on a tractor, so I don't know.
But your kids are being raised by you, man.
I know,
You know
and
what I'm
look
saying?
at how many people. Okay, and look at how many people raise their kids very similarly to me in just the state of Texas. Now you look at all the other southern states, and you look at how many people homeschool and are there one-on-one.
Right.
And look at how many kids they have.
Wait, can I ask though, are you in a rural area or like an urban area?
Right now, I'm in an urban area, and God, I hate it.
Yeah, because I'm not worried as much about the kids growing up in rural areas. I'm worried about the ones who are in like big schools where they're getting indoctrination instead of education, and they're surrounded by people who have no concept of like how you feed yourself, how you clothe yourself, if somebody else isn't doing it for you.
Well, I've noticed one thing that's kind of terrifyingly lacking in these kids, and my kids all seem to naturally have this personality trait, so maybe I'm just seeing something that but I've seen lots of kids my kids' age, so I'm very confused by this, but the kids out here have no self-esteem and they have no sense of self, and we're talking 13 and 14-year-olds.
Right.
And it's bizarre to me. These kids don't know. They keep looking to their parents like their parents will tell them all what to do. Like they don't know how to think for themselves at all.
Well,
And
but they're
mine are
getting
just
a lot
the
of
opposite.
Yeah, but they're getting a lot of messages, particularly if they're certain colors and certain genders, that they're shitty human beings. And even if you're a good parent and you don't let them believe that, like just TV, music, school, you're a bad person because you happen to be, X, Y, or Z. And I feel really horrible for little boys, straight white boys today.
Oh, I know.
Like they're told they're privileged, and they get the exact opposite. They get treated like shit. They get completely disenfranchised. They get openly discriminated against. You can't tell me that's not impacting their psyche.
Oh, it absolutely is. That's why there's such a strong pro-masculine movement within the homeschooling and conservative movement.
I know. I hate the idea of overcorrecting, though. Can't we just all land right in the middle? And
well,
I don't want a bunch of raging misogynists either. I just want men who are appreciate the fact that you can be a good man, and don't let anybody tell you you're not, because there's nothing wrong with being masculine, and you don't have to build being masculine off of shitting on women. It's a completely different thing. Yeah.
I don't know many masculine men that shit on women to be masculine.
Right.
I just know men who equate that with. Well, I know people from other countries too who do equate that with masculinity. Unfortunately.
Okay, but that's a little different. It's like trying to translate machismo into American culture doesn't work really well either. But you know exactly what I'm talking about, Becca.
I do. I was married to one.
Yeah. That's
totally
a
get
spicy
that one.
meatball. Ooh, yeah. Okay, I grew up in California, so I grew up around a lot of Hispanics because it was the Central Coast. And it was
Right.
all
Who else wants to sound off on the 2 minutes?
totally
I got
forgot what
some.
we were doing. I'm so sorry.
About 25 years ago, we started commenting on how we weren't spending enough on infrastructure and how we were starting to slip behind.
Oh,
Guys, this week they discovered on the main bridge that goes across the Mississippi River for I-40 that one of the main support beams underneath the truss was split all the way through. They're calling it a crack, but that fucker's broken. It's fractured all the way through. And it's because they have not been doing the kind of maintenance that they need to do just to maintain the infrastructure that we got. And that doesn't even cover making sure that we have enough infrastructure, spare capacity to cover things if something goes wrong. Like if, say a pipeline gets hijacked So, yeah, I'm a little bit pissed at 25 years of built up. We need to do something about this instead of actually, doing something about it all along the way. And that's my hate.
Good hate.
Well, and it makes you wonder, like, all right, so how is there more of this shit? I mean, because you can imagine,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
If they cut corners here, man, you know what I'm saying? They cut corners everywhere.
It's the same problem that caused the collapse of the I-35 bridge up in Minnesota a few years ago.
Mm.
And that collapse actually, the whole bridge went down and a lot of people got killed. This failure at the DeSoto Bridge that I'm talking about, they actually had to stop barge traffic from going underneath the bridge. So hundreds of barges that would normally transit that section of Mississippi River were stuck at Memphis for a couple of days, just backing up like they were doing at the Suez Canal when that idiot turned that boat sideways.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to move on to somebody else?
I don't have any hate.
Okay, good.
Hate the no hate.
I don't know if I'd call it hate, just maybe a little bit of like irritation. Like,
Okay.
Disappoint.
Yeah. Okay, so I was at a conference. It was like a virtual conference this week with pretty much all health inspectors. It's like the statewide conference. And one of the presentations was about food during COVID. I don't need to get into any of the details about it, but basically she was, she's a supposed scientist showing, studies and stuff. And then one of the slides was about how masks work. She wanted to remind everyone that masks work. And the picture showed bacterial cultures. Like there was like a bacterial culture where like someone was wearing a mask and not wearing a mask and where they coughed or something. And it's like, why are you showing us bacterial cultures? Like, don't you know better by now? Like, this has nothing to do with a virus.
Yeah, 0.06 micron virus particles that go through basically everything.
They're a little bit different. Then so I was just like, okay, first of all, why is this in here? And second, like, you should know better. You should know better. And this came out like literally the day that the CDC came out with that mask guidance, which just made me kind of laugh about it after the fact. But and then like during the conference, they were giving out awards to people for merit and whatnot. And one guy got an award for his enforcement, including like the extra enforcement on businesses for not operating under the guidance documents of the government. And I'm like, you're seriously giving a fucking award to this guy? Sorry for the swear. I'm like,
No.
Makes me mad. Okay, just
Dude, fire out of both barrels. You know how I am. Don't hold back.
Yeah, how are you giving this guy an award? And it just made me sick. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, giving this guy an award for helping people issue citations to these businesses. Like, this is disgusting.
Well, he brought in so much revenue, man. You got to give him a stroke.
Disgusting.
Bringing that moolah in, buddy.
These, like, a lot of these health inspectors, like some of them, especially kind of the way the state is run as a whole, it is like a cult the way they act. And I always kind of thought they acted like that a little, like how they're like way too buddy with each other and clingy, and it's almost like, yeah, it's just so bizarre. And after COVID, it just came out even more.
Yeah.
Disgusting. It's so weird too, being like this one, like looking at all of it happen and not want to like have to enforce this stuff, but like I just want to scream and like throw my mask off at them. And Anyway, yeah, that's my 2 minutes of hate.
Well, I was gonna say, everybody keeps pushing this masks work thing. Do you know that the decrease in spread, or the amount of effect masks had on the spread of coronavirus was between 0.7 and 1.7%?
And that's good.
To the CDC.
And the CDC says whatever they say is right.
Yep.
So
we love the CDC. They are very knowledgeable in all things. Hey,
That's right.
irate Michael Hatfield wants to know if his Streamlabs went through.
Michael Hatfield. What Streamlabs? Holy shit! Hold on, no, hold on. Now, see, I didn't get a notification. I should have heard something, or should have seen something even. Michael Hatfield, $5 says, "You make my Friday. You all make my Friday."
Yay!
To all of you. Gunfox donates $14.88. U.S. bridges in China still best bridges. Much like allowing Chinese paid teachers unions to dumb down school students. What could possibly go wrong? Indeed, man. $14.88. You saw that the commercial that record vacuum for only $14.88, and I just laughed like hell when I saw that because it's $14.80. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, so let's see. Has anybody not sounded off on this 2 minutes of hate thing?
I had a good week, so I have no 2 minutes of hate this week.
Right? You're feeling froggy though, so you're not like froggy you're froggy in a different way.
Yeah, I just
Uh-oh.
sit here and
I'm
enjoy
scared.
the clips.
Just keep the camera off, please.
Froggy style.
The camera is covered and will remain off.
Oh shit. Okay, so, and on that note, we'll just go ahead and slide into the TV room because we like to do that. There we go. See, there's some I got the notification from Gunfox just then. All right. Let me recreate that for you, just for you people.
Yay.
Michael Hatfield donates $5. You all make my Friday. That's right.
I'm really happy it's Friday, though.
Yeah, I am too.
Great, sure.
Yes. Yes. I'm very, very happy it's Friday.
Man.
Very happy.
So my Friday actually started with me waking up and being like, I don't feel like doing shit today. Like, I had a long ass fucking week. I worked for like 12 hours yesterday. So I'm just sitting there, like, got my laptop up and running, sitting around watching YouTube videos. I'm just gonna answer emails, right? If you don't ask me for something, I'm not gonna fucking work for it. And then at 1 o'clock, my boss says, "It's like, hey, you guys can all just log off." And I'm like, cool, because I wasn't working anyway.
Damn it, Excel.
Yeah, and I just went to sleep.
Well, cool. All right, so everybody hook up on the video, the VLC live thing, so we got some like I said, we got to slog through, and you guys be patient with me, okay? I do want to open up with and I can post a link to this article, but I wanted to get a timeline on it, all right? Because if you type in Obama plus Fauci plus Wuhan or plus China Lab, you get this photograph that's being debunked, right?
Oh yeah.
So I had to do it. It's all these come up under fact checks actually, but the one that I found that's got the right information in it, in 2014. And this happened in 2014. The United States said that they were no longer going to do, studies with active virulent strains, for safety purposes. And on the other hand, they turn around and then they give a grant, to this organization that, Dr. Anthony Fauci's on the board of. and through his recommendation, they fund the Wuhan, right? And that started in 2014. Okay, it's important that we understand that, because check out how shit really developed in reality, and piece the pictures together. And once again, you know, I'm not saying don't do anything the CDC doesn't tell you to do. Okay, just that's my disclaimer.
I remember us going over hard numbers, and I can't remember which show we went over them on. But we went over hard numbers on COVID, and it was sometime, I think this time last year. It might have been summer. I can't remember, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was right about the time that Excel came in, because he was helping us break down other numbers.
Okay.
And we talked about it. I remember, like...
Yeah. We had talked about that, and we had also talked about the gain of function. It's funny how that's starting to creep up in the MSM vernacular, because there's more and more stuff coming out. All right, let's just go ahead and we'll go with this, and I'll stop it and we'll talk. I'm going to speed this up too.
Joining me now to discuss this is the chair of the UK Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Tom Tugendhat, and the chair of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security here in Australia, James Paterson. Thank you both for your time this evening. Tom, how concerned are you about the way some senior military scientists in China are thinking about bioweapons?
Well, I think the very fact that they're talking about it is concerning. I mean, this is not a sort of fringe scientist talking about it in a sort of conspiracy way. This is a mainstream scientist who's got the ear of the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, who is talking about some of the most dangerous weapons the world has ever known. Now, we don't know whether it's got any further than talking, and we very much hope not, and it would be wrong to be conspiracy theorists ourselves about this. But it is concerning that this is a major Chinese scientific institution talking about such weapons.
James, clearly this document does not relate to COVID-19. As I've pointed out, it was produced 5 years before the current pandemic. But it does give us an insight into the enthusiasm that at least some senior figures have for biological research. They outline the best conditions to release a bioweapon. You know, what's your reaction to this?
Shari, what this paper shows is that it's of a great deal of interest to the highest levels of the People's Liberation Army, and they wouldn't be the only army in the world, they wouldn't be the only government in the world to take an interest in it. But what we'd ask of them, as we'd ask of any other government in the world, is to be totally transparent and open about that, because China, like many other countries, has entered into obligations not to conduct research of this nature for all the reasons outlined in your introduction. They are highly dangerous weapons that could do massive harm to our societies, and no one wants to see them released. So the interest that they have is noteworthy, and what we'd be concerned about is whether that interest has gone any further.
Tom, do you think this document should spark some sort of formal correspondence back to China about providing more transparency and insight into their activities and their bioweapons program?
Well, as James correctly points out, bioweapons are governed by various international treaties. And so I hope that our governments, Australia and the UK, but actually other governments around the world, will be in regular conversation with the Chinese government about this. It's important, of course, not just for China, for our governments, but also for the Chinese people. These are very dangerous weapons, and the securing of such substances inside China is essential for the safety of the Chinese people.
James, you talk about transparency and the international conventions, the biological research and warfare conventions that China is a party to, that's governed by the United Nations. But we've seen in the past 15 months how incapable China is of transparency when it came to a global health issue like COVID-19.
When has China
How
cared
can we
about a contract they
even
keep
remotely
with
think
another
that they might
country?
be transparent about the sort of research that they're undertaking when it comes to biological research under President Xi Jinping's civil-military fusion?
Well, unfortunately, Shari, one of the key features of an authoritarian political system is to be allergic to transparency and allergic to openness, because political leaders in these systems fear transparency and openness because they think it will undermine their position and potentially remove them from power. But ultimately, I think that's a false choice. I think that transparency in this instance and in the instance of COVID-19 is in the Chinese government's interest, in the Chinese Communist Party's interest, because if they're not transparent about the origins of COVID-19 or their research in this area, then undoubtedly conspiracy theories and speculation, some of it pretty wild, some of it pretty lurid, will flourish. And there'll be a certain number of people that will always believe those conspiracy theories and that speculation because hard evidence hasn't been made available. And the obstruction of the World Health Organization's investigation into the origins of COVID-19 does raise real concerns about that failure to be transparent. And while the origins of COVID-19 may, of course, be completely natural and completely innocent, we can't know for sure unless the Chinese government is willing to be transparent, and their failure to do so is a worry.
Precisely. Last year, we saw that the US media failed to investigate this topic that we've been discussing, the origins of COVID-19, the most crucial topic globally, given the destruction of livelihoods and the 3 million deaths now and counting. That is now starting to change, but the Biden administration does not want to have to answer questions about it. Have a look at this.
It's a matter of public record that Dr. Fauci and the NIH funded gain-of-function experimentation research at the Wuhan lab of virology. And given the questions about that lab, why would Dr. Fauci in the U.S. fund that kind of experiments, that kind of research in a Chinese lab?
I'm happy to send you to the NIH about more specifics of what program they funded and more details of that.
Now, I do have one more follow-up on that because the president hasn't really weighed in. Dr. Fauci is one of the voices who discredit the lab leak theory, but now there's more officials in the Biden administration, like the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, and now also the NIH Director, who say that this cannot be ruled out, and there's calls for more investigation into it. Who does the president agree with, Dr. Fauci or the other officials? Does he think it was a lab leak?
Well, the president has said, and I've said from here many times, that there needs to be a credible, independent investigation through the World Health Organization, and that one that relies on data, relies on participation from China and other countries that may have information. I'm going to have to go on. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Emerald. I think you've had plenty of time today. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The shitty tap dancer, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Any comments? Quick.
She was hot.
Can I say something that scares me about all this? Like, they're talking about the stuff where there's a paper trail and they can find out about it. And I hate when they call it a conspiracy theory, because anybody with common sense knows the government is also doing things that you're never going to know about.
Well, since when has it been mandatory to trust the government? When has that become like an American thing?
Right.
January of 2021.
It's so damn weird.
Isn't she stepping down?
Who?
Yeah.
Circle back? Really?
Yeah, no,
she
she's...
She was only going to do a year.
Yeah, she's only going to do a year and then step down.
Because it's kind of obvious when she's, spouting real bullshit.
Dude, she gets downright cunty. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, she can't handle it.
Yeah.
She knows she's not good at her job.
Right. And I apologize, Eric Bell, if you were offended by that term. But it's like... we talked about that, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes, it came up.
She makes Sean Spicer look competent.
Oh, dude.
She's so damn mean girl, thin-skinned.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit.
All right, let's keep rolling with these guys, man, because, all right, so this is the info that is, like, it just lit me on fire. This is crazy.
Tom, there hasn't been a proper investigation into the origins of the pandemic 15 months on, and Fauci...
What?
I knew all the other stuff they were talking about there.
Right.
I remember reading about all of that.
Right, well, this is a paper that, all right, and they'll talk about it some more, okay, but this is a paper that came out in 2015. 2015. Okay. All right, from the Chinese guy, where they're talking about the perfect delivery system in biowarfare. All right, yes. So and they're going to get into the details about that in a little bit, but yeah. So here we go, fam.
He hasn't explained why he was funding this risky gain-of-function research.
Well, I'm not going to speak about Americans' decisions as to what they do. What I will speak about is what the UK does. And I'm very pleased that we've supported Australia's request to the WHO for a full investigation. But the WHO needs to actually do it. Now, this is an issue we've got with the People's Republic of China, or rather with the Chinese Communist Party, and not being open. Sadly, this is pretty traditional in dictatorships, that openness is at a premium. But I hope very much that we will get that openness, because whatever the causes of this outbreak, the reality is it's disrupted lives, it's sadly taken many lives, and it's cost literally trillions of pounds and dollars to the international community and to people all around the world. So finding out what the origins are is absolutely essential to making sure it never happens again. I mean, we just need to look at what's happening in India today to realize that this isn't a Western issue or an Eastern issue. This is a human issue.
James, you were one of the first MPs to call for an investigation into the origins of COVID-19 before the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Marise Payne did so formally. The WHO does not seem capable, it is not capable of conducting this investigation.
Thank you.
So what form can an investigation take in that international community?
All right, for $5, thanks, Gunfox donates and says she need to be sent to HB Karen School for schooling, the press secretary.
Right. That's right, she does.
HB Karen.
Shari, the World Health Organization is certainly an imperfect organisation, but it was the best chance that the global community had to get to the bottom of this issue because it attracted such immense support through the World Health Assembly. The motion that Australia sponsored with friends and allies around the world, including the European Union and the United Kingdom, was for an independent inquiry into the origin of COVID-19. It passed the World Health Assembly with hundreds of co-sponsors and supporters and not a single vote against, not even China. And yet when the World Health Organization team got to China, they found themselves obstructed every step of the way in terms of access to data, access to personnel, access to key sites. And that shows that the Chinese government was not willing to be transparent with that process. And if they weren't willing to be transparent with that process, I fear they're not going to be transparent with any process. I hope at least that the Chinese Communist Party themselves knows how this got out, even if they don't want to tell the world.
What about the Prime Minister's original idea of sending weapons inspectors in? That was something he suggested or floated very early on.
Look, ultimately you need the consent of the country on the receiving end to do anything like that, and I think if they were unwilling to have World Health Organization researchers having independent access, I doubt they'd allow anyone else to have access. So as I say, I really hope the Chinese Communist Party themselves at least know how this got out, if it was an accident, if it was natural, if it was from a wet market, so that they themselves can prevent it from happening in the future. But of course, really the world is entitled to know. Millions of people have now died. It has shut down the global economy and international travel. It's profoundly affected all of our lives. We are entitled to an explanation, and it will continue to be a stain on the Chinese Communist Party that it has failed to provide that explanation itself, and it has failed to facilitate others from getting those answers that we all desperately need.
James, just before you go, a question about domestic politics. What was your view on the Prime Minister and Greg Hunt's move this week to threaten jail for any Australians who returned home from India?
So I know the medical advice given to the Health Minister to make that decision was not given lightly, and I'm sure the Health Minister's decision was not taken lightly either. I hope, however, that it never happens again, because I think an enormous threshold has been crossed that I really would have preferred was not crossed. I think criminalising Australian citizens returning to their own country is a step too far, and I really worry about the precedent that would set and what that says about the value of Australian citizenship and Australian passports. So, like many other things that's happened in this crisis, it was an extreme measure, just like many of the measures state governments have taken to lock people in their homes. And I hope we never see them again in peacetime or any other context.
I mean, it seems to be a case of the medical experts or the medical advisors dictating policy across the board.
Well, they certainly have been very influential in this crisis, and we certainly do take their advice very seriously, but ultimately we are a liberal democracy and decisions have to be made, are made and should be made by elected politicians, not by their advisors. I mean, if we followed the advice of public health, then we would have would ban alcohol advertising, we would have a sugar tax, we'd ban smoking. There's all sorts of things that we would do that public health would ask us to do that in a liberal democracy we wouldn't do because we think it would be an excessive limitation on our individual freedoms. And I think we should be very mindful of all of those important balancing factors when considering public health advice.
Very sensible position, James. And Tom, I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shari.
Now, my next guest led the investigation inside the State Department into the origins of the coronavirus. David Asher spearheaded a task force for the US government into COVID-19, and he was specifically looking at the Wuhan Institute of...
What?
That's like, holy shit, you'll go to jail if you go home?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's Australia, man. Oh, dude, you should see what's going on in New Zealand. That place is insane. But yeah, they halted all flights coming into Australia from India. So even Australian citizens that are in India cannot fly home. Which was what, when the whole China thing happened, Americans that were in China were allowed to fly home.
Yeah, and they got and like leftists got really mad about it, and I was like, "The fuck is wrong with you?" It was like, it's so misanthropic.
Indeed. All right, so this is an American guy that's done a shitload of investigation. Check this out.
During his years in the State Department, he led investigations into nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons proliferation. His experience also includes investigations into counterterrorism operations, but notably, the nuclear proliferation investigations that he did, they were in North Korea, in Pakistan, in Iran, so significant, and then he turned his attention to this. He served under both Republican and Democrat administrations at senior levels. I spoke to him earlier today, and as you all know, I've been reporting on the origins of the pandemic for nearly a year now, but what he said in this interview shocked even me. He spoke about workers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology being hospitalized with COVID-like symptoms, and he said that this might be the very pandemic. He also said there's some evidence to suggest that COVID-19 might have been developed as part of a vaccine program, and he even said that that vaccine might be an antidote to a bioweapon. He said there's evidence that China is running a bioweapons program inside the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and that this is all very possible, that this is how COVID-19 emerged. He said this is just one theory that is on the table, that is an active line of inquiry by the US State Department and agencies. This might sound shocking or crazy, but this is a very serious individual. He's led a distinguished career, and he was the person leading the investigation into COVID-19 inside the State Department. Most of the information in this area remains classified. Only a small part of it's been released, but this is some of the material that he was able to speak about. He's told me that he has never seen a more systematic cover-up in his career than China's COVID-19. I want to start with the origins of COVID-19, and specifically those workers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology who fell sick in the October, the November of 2019 prior to the pandemic. This was first contained in a US State Department release in January. One of the Wuhan, so-called investigators, Marion Koopmans, who visited Wuhan, also confirmed it, but she downplayed it. She said just one or two were sick. It was nothing unusual about it. But in fact, what you can tell us today is that the three of them were so sick they ended up in hospital.
Well, I mean, there's information that they fell sick, and at least one of them was hospitalized that I'm aware of. There were multiple staff members that did have to go to hospital and appear to have had conditions of COVID-19. You don't normally go to the hospital with influenza, especially a cluster of people. So, the WHO has been looking for its initial cluster of victims of COVID-19, and the point of the declassified information that Secretary Pompeo provided was that we had information that there was indeed a cluster, and they worked on COVID-19 itself or related COVID coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is almost too much of a coincidence to believe. But, we find other information that gave us more confidence that that alone wasn't the only thing that made us feel that the Wuhan Institute was highly probably the source of the COVID epidemic. It involved other information which we put out in that statement, or Secretary of State put out in the statement on January 15th.
David, actually, just to clarify that there, you said they were working on a coronavirus in the laboratory. It hasn't been confirmed that they were working on SARS-CoV-2, has it? They were just working on coronaviruses.
Well, we did put out that there was work being done on rat G13, which is the Yunnan flu, which was identified by the Chinese in 2012, and incredibly mysteriously and disturbingly, given the cosmic significance of that was the first case of a coronavirus from a bat that had been proven, if their information is accurate, to infect human beings, and it killed several minors that I'm aware of. I think maybe two or three.
So just to clarify, those early cases from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in early to mid-November, are they being assessed, inside the US State Department, inside US intelligence agencies, as being the first cluster?
It was a cluster that appeared to be have symptoms consistent with COVID-19. I am confident that the information that we provided was based on accurate sources, and that we would have never provided it if we didn't believe that, based on other information, that this was the most probable source of the outbreak.
Just to be clear, during your time in the State Department, it was an active line of inquiry within the State Department that SARS-CoV-2 might have been part of a bioweapons program that China was running.
Yes, I mean, we were looking at the origin of COVID-19 and trying to figure out where it came from, and was it related to some sort of WMD violation. That's the purpose of their Arms Control Bureau. Look, I was their senior subject matter expert. I'm an investigator. I'm a follow the money guy. The fact that they were funding this type of research from the military to me is highly indicative. But we'll have to see where the proof lies. There's going to be a need for a huge global investigation, well beyond the WHO. There needs to be a sort of 9/11 commission established in the United States to look at this. And so at this moment, you can't say conclusively. But what the Chinese did behaviorally, okay, which is undisputed, is they allowed a offensive-like vector in terms of its pathology, and virulence, to escape China and spread around the world. That part, and they told us that it couldn't spread human to human. That alone, whether this virus in itself and and its characteristics is exceptionally virulent, as we all know. It's unprecedented in history. There's plenty of indications in the sequence itself that it may have been synthetically altered. Okay, it's got the backbone of a bat combined with a pangolin receptor binder, combined with some sort of humanized mice transceptor capability. So these things don't naturally make sense. The potential of natural evolution of COVID-19, speaking with many scientists who follow this around the world, is that the odds are very low that this could be natural.
Bam.
I want to shout really loud. I really, really want to shout really loud because there were a whole lot of people yeeted off of fucking social media
Yep.
for months after this pandemic started and this data was found and released. They've all been shoved underground and they're on small, weird blogs and odd health websites now.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Oh.
Well, and the deal is that all right? So this
really irritated
this
right
came
now.
out Sunday. All right, this shit came out Sunday.
Okay, sorry.
Rate's muted. The thing is frozen. I wonder.
Oh,
if
yeah, this came out. All right, this came out on Sunday. Is what I was saying. All right. No, it was fun. Yeah, this came out Sunday. So all right, my emphasis here is on the fact that the MSM hasn't even acted like this information is still out there. Okay, and it's been out there. We know it's been out there for over a year.
Yeah.
So, all right, keep rolling with this motherfucker, man. This dude is
Did a fucking video on it. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. This is too base to,
Very low.
David Asher, I want to ask you about the Wuhan Institute of Virology's virus database. This is a crucial piece of evidence that anyone you speak to mentions in trying to get to the bottom of what sort of viruses the laboratory had prior to the pandemic and whether SARS-CoV-2 was one of them. That database was taken offline in September 2019, prior to even when, the US says that the pandemic is thought to have started. Xi Zhengli, of course, says it was taken offline because there were thousands of hacking attempts on the database. This is what she told the WHO investigators just recently in their trip to Wuhan. What is the other hypothesis about why this database was taken offline? And does it at all indicate a potential earlier start date to an outbreak of the coronavirus?
Why the Chinese do these things? It's just one of a myriad of indicators of something that was troubling their government. It wasn't just that database. There were other databases that were taken offline. There was access to sequences that were, Chinese had posted actually internationally, and they tried to remove them. There was, I believe, 10 victims at a PLA hospital, which is, I believe, only one stop away on the subway from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I think it was on December 30th that were posted on a database in Europe. And my understanding is that, these people, were, we don't know where they worked. Did they work at the Wuhan Institute of Virology? I've heard views of foreign government people, not at a classified level, at just, conversational level, that there's a suspicion that some of them may have worked at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and that that's subject to debate. But what's interesting is evidence that certain scientists have found, and I let them speak to you. I can introduce you if you wish. That there was adenovirus present in some of the in the sequences that were posted in Europe publicly. And adenovirus means there was a vaccine present for COVID-19. That could indicate that this was a biodefense program. They're putting a vaccine together, but people don't normally just develop a vaccine just in case something that they're working on that doesn't make any natural sense. Okay, it's like many generations different from Rat G13 that they found in Yunnan in 2012. To develop a vaccine in advance for something that would never see the light of day is sort of ridiculous. But it is totally consistent with the biological weapons program. That's what people do. They develop an antidote. You see it with the Russian and North Korean and Iranian programs with chemical neurotoxins. They have a antidote that can provide a cure. Well, a vaccine is an antidote, in effect. Whether they were developing this vaccine, if it exists, as an antidote, hard to know. It's just very, very disturbing that you'd see this adenovirus present if that's true. And I can only rely on the scientists I've spoken with.
While remembering that there are many China apologists in our midst, it is surely valid to argue that the enemy of Australia today is not China. It's those in authority who fail to recognise that China is a threat. It may be that the Port of Darwin and the $40 billion industrial city of Daru in Papua New Guinea are sideshows. And so it may be with the Chinese maritime militia. It's claimed that China's little blue men, the Beijing-controlled maritime militia, is reportedly hundreds of boats and thousands of crew members strong. They're blue-painted, controlled by the People's Liberation Army, and they reportedly can quickly bring a Chinese presence so large around disputed reefs and islands in our immediate north that it would be impossible to challenge them without triggering a military confrontation. 200 Chinese fishing boats crowded around Whitsun Reef, which is a Philippine possession, in the Spratly Island chain in the South China Sea. Analysts at the International Institute for Strategic Studies in Singapore said they'd never seen an operation of this size before. And this led to the outburst last week, remember, from the Philippine Foreign Secretary who told China to F off. Well, 10 days ago, the 97-year-old former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was talking about an Armageddon-like clash between the US and China, which he said could engulf the entire world. That's according to Kissinger. Well, as they say in Australian colloquial language, that all may be small beer when compared to a bombshell paper accessed by the US State Department, which now suggests that Chinese scientists have, for the last 6 years, been preparing for a third world war fought with biological and genetic weapons, including coronavirus.
You're muted, Irate.
That's not nice. Back at me.
I would
all
never.
right, what I wanted to do was check and make sure that the music was fixed. There was some music. I added a new background and it had some shitty music behind it. So, and I'm sure I didn't get dinged for it because it was playing at slow speed. Anyway, what the fuck is he saying? All right, so you want to back it up? All right, so
I think it was a little fast at the beginning.
We'll be able to pop him back just a wee bit. Yeah, that I heard Becca laugh at that tweet. That was yeah, tell them to go fuck themselves. That's great.
I heard the giggle too, and I thought I was hearing things for a second.
No. All right, let's roll.
The city of Daru in Papua New Guinea are sideshows. And so it may be with the Chinese maritime militia. It's claimed that China's Little Blue Men, the Beijing-controlled maritime militia, is reportedly hundreds of boats and thousands of crew members strong. They're blue-painted, controlled by the People's Liberation Army, and they reportedly can quickly bring a Chinese presence so large around disputed reefs and islands in our immediate north that it would be impossible to challenge them without triggering a military confrontation. 200 Chinese fishing boats crowded around Bitson Reef, which is a Philippine possession, in the Spratly Island chain in the South China Sea. Analysts at the International Institute for Strategic Studies in Singapore said they'd never seen an operation of this size before. And this led to the outburst last week, remember, from the Philippine Foreign Secretary who told China to F off. Well, 10 days ago, the 97-year-old former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was talking about an Armageddon-like clash between the US and China, which he said could engulf the entire world. That's according to Kissinger. Well, as they say in Australian colloquial language, that all may be small beer when compared to a bombshell paper accessed by the US State Department, which now suggests that Chinese scientists have, for the last 6 years, been preparing for a third world war fought with biological and genetic weapons, including coronavirus. This is not fiction.
Did he say, who did he say got a hold of that paper?
Are you talking about Kissinger or the part after?
He was talking about the U.S. in specific having possession of this. Yeah, the State Department having possession of this paper.
From the Philippine Foreign Secretary who told China to F off. Well, 10 days ago, the 97-year-old former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was talking about an Armageddon-like clash between the US and China, which he said could engulf the entire world. That's according to Kissinger. Well, as I say in Australian colloquial...
All right, remember when Kissinger was like booted by Trump almost towards the end of his term, right? From the Pentagon. Well, I guess he's, back, because it's business as usual. So,
isn't he a globalist?
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
He's one of the architects. He's one of the architects of globalism.
I thought so.
Yep.
Language. That all may be small beer when compared to a bombshell paper accessed by the US State Department, which now suggests that Chinese scientists have, for the last 6 years, been preparing for a third world war fought with biological and genetic weapons, including coronavirus. This is not fiction. The dossier is by the People's Liberation scientists and health officials. The story is simple. Manipulate diseases to make weapons, quote, in a way never seen before. The paper by Chinese scientists describes these biological weapons as the core for victory and outlines the, quote, perfect conditions to release them. The documents obtained by US investigators indicate, presumably at the direction of President Xi, a complete lack of regulation in China's laboratories, and that the infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology has been collecting numerous coronaviruses from bats ever since the SARS outbreak in 2002. Now, SARS is severe acute respiratory syndrome. It had a go in 2002. It was quickly contained, only about 8,000 cases, but the fatality rate was 11%. Were China up to this dangerous game way back in 2002? After all, there are reports that the Wuhan Center for Disease Prevention and Control has kept disease-ridden animals in its labs, including 605 bats. And this center is adjacent to the Union Hospital in Wuhan, where the first group of doctors were infected by coronavirus. Now, the authors of this document insist that a third world war will be, quote, biological, unquote, and that bioweapons will be, quote, the core weapon for victory, unquote. The document also outlines the ideal conditions in which to release a bioweapon and cause maximum damage. Don't carry out the attack in the middle of a clear day. Sunlight can damage the pathogens. Rain or snow can affect the aerosol particles. So, release the bioweapons at night, dawn, dusk, or under cloudy weather with, quote, a stable wind direction so that the aerosol can float into the target area, unquote.
All right. Remember the sunshine thing? All right. And this is true for most viruses anyway, right? But so it makes the lockdown. I mean, think about this. This is a a biological warfare party member who is in military, right? And this is his bailiwick, right? And he is talking about the next war will be fought biologically. You know, and that's the paper. I'm if I'm not mistaken, that's the paper that came out in 2015 after the Obama administration, along with Dr. Fauci, turned the research and our specimens over to China. All right, so 2014, they get the stuff. 2015, this dude's talking about using it. And whether they're using it to create an antidote or, you know, or whatever, it tells you that they're up to no good.
Well, they want an antidote because the theory is, you know, they're safe and they can just, then even if they screw up, it doesn't really matter. A pandemic where your people are already immunized is a pretty effective way of saving yourself a lot of money. Because let's face facts, it's much cheaper to do that than like what's going on in Israel right now, where you've got to have a lot of very pricey armaments that go bad. And then you also lose a lot of valuable real estate. China's very into real estate. They buy a lot of land in Africa. And I suspect that it's very appealing to them to get rid of the people and keep, just like the Native Americans, get rid of the people.
Well, see, I'd heard
land.
that, at the very beginning, that it was targeted towards African, I guess.
I think it's just targeted toward not them. I think the idea is
everybody but us, right?
Yeah, but you get to keep the thing that you don't get to keep in a traditional military engagement. You get to keep the commodities that are so valuable to you. You don't contaminate what could be arable land for growing food.
Right.
You don't lose actual buildings. You don't lose tools. You don't lose factories. All you lose is the only thing that really you don't want, which is the people.
You make it sound so intelligent.
And if you select a native virus like SARS, that a large number of people in your country already have a partial immunity to because they're exposed to similar viruses all the time, it's a lot easier to come up with an effective vaccine, at least for your country.
Well, and plausible deniability. I mean, they don't want to come up with something nobody's ever seen before, and they don't want to come up with something, just like now they're like, well, we need to find out where this came from. They're not going to help you.
No shit.
If it came from them, I mean, what the hell?
Well, you saw what they did with the WHO. They blew smoke up their ass, and WHO bought it.
They own the WHO. The
Pig and a poke. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, exactly.
The man who currently is in charge of that particular place is not what you would call. He's a former terrorist. I don't know. Like, am very concerned about that whole organization. But yeah, I mean, this is the dream scenario of how to win a war. Not get your hands dirty, not suffer any of the post-war reconstruction, and basically get to start. And it's not like your enemy is going to be able to fight you, because your enemy is going to be actively dying in large numbers. I mean, even if you don't kill everybody, and there are people who are physically immune or just physically fit enough that they survive, they're still going to be sick, and they're not going to be enough of them to really cause you any troubles.
Right.
Well, I think it got prematurely released, and that's why it only affects the elderly the way it does.
Either that, or they wanted to test a version of it that they could control, to test how people would react, to test how governments would react, to test basically how their plans to immunize some people and then let other people die would work. And then the idea is when you roll up because like I said, COVID, for all they talk up, has, you know, like a 1 to 2% fatality rate that predominantly.
No, it's not even that. It's like
0.7.
Well, and on average, the people who die have 4 other things wrong with them.
Well, and even with people that have other things wrong with them, like it's heavily skewed to people that are 70+ years of age.
Yeah. So you're gonna want to try something like that out before you just release the final solution. I mean, not to quote Hitler, because that sounds so awful, but I mean, that's what they're talking about. I mean, they're talking about doing it, but doing it in a more efficient way. And it's not like it's because they used to be afraid of, what was the thing I was talking about in the 90s? Oh, well, they're going to release neurotoxins. Neurotoxins are very hard to control.
Nerve agents, yeah.
Yeah, those are very difficult to control. You can't give somebody an immunization against them, making sure somebody has a mask. I mean, these are not...
You have to verify what it is before you can...
Yeah, you've got to...
Yeah, the Kurdish nerve gas bombs kind of proved how awful and out of control those were.
It's very hard to control. You've got to deal with weather, people, just way too many factors.
Not to mention the fact.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact on a persistent nerve agent,
Johnny Blaze,
any surface that is like on the underneath of something that's been exposed, 6 months later, you'll have people that are catching nerve agent off of that and still dying because it's been persisting. Yeah. It just kind of sits there.
Yeah.
So you toxified an environment you didn't want to toxify. If this is the case, and this is just basically their practice run, they try it with something that's not going to kill too many people. It's maybe even going to weaken economies, kind of a bonus. And you get to test all this stuff out. And then when it comes time to do the real damage, you're going to select an agent that's just as easily transmitted, which is any respiratory agent. They're not exactly hard to find.
No.
But is got a much higher rate of fatality. And voila. If your enemy isn't dead, they're weak. And if you can immunize your people first, you're not.
I really, really doubt you're ever going to get that kind of deadliness out of you would have to incorporate a whole lot of other shit.
Well, you heard what he was saying. There was a part of a penguin protein in there.
Well, no, because you have to, because if you want it to be a really effective virus,
Some
that's
Frankenstein
deadly,
shit.
You have to make it so it doesn't mutate when it replicates, because that's the only way you're going to be.
Right, and they always but that's part
them.
of the nature. See, you can't. I don't think they've tapped into that mechanism yet.
That's what I'm saying. I think this was their best try so far.
But the idea that it's going to mutate into something less lethal is not likely. The reality is when they mutate viruses, I mean, HIV didn't get less deadly over time. It tends to become more drug resistant. So even if you can treat it, your drugs are going to typically become less effective. I mean, if they create something mixed also from a lot of other things, they can particularly go out of their way to select for types of viruses that are not easy to treat, that are not likely to mutate into something that's going to be less damaging. I mean, I think the idea here, if they're really doing it, is to go for maximum evil.
Well, I would argue that even HIV at this point is weaker than it was 40 years ago.
That's not true. No, it had mutated into drug-resistant forms. If you are infected by somebody,
we now have more options for cure than we have ever had before.
Yeah, and but we haven't cured it, because if you get HIV from somebody who has been treated for 10 years, all the drugs they took during those 10 years are completely useless to you. You start where they started after 10 years. We've gotten better at prevention. A lot of people have died and taken the virus with them, and we've gotten better at treatment. But we didn't get rid of it because it stays ahead of the drug. So when you get an HIV strain from somebody who's had it for 10 years and gone through 10 years of treatment, you're getting a strain that's not going to respond to any of the drugs they took during those 10 years.
Okay, but that's under a specialized circumstance, and you're not seeing... And you do have to remember you're comparing a blood-borne virus with an airborne one, but however, the virus itself hasn't gotten more deadly. My point is that viruses, they're being resistant to the drugs doesn't make it more deadly. It just makes it resistant to the treatment.
It makes it, well, in terms of you're going to die faster because you're not going to be able to be treated. So I mean, I don't know what you mean by you mean like the symptoms are going to come on faster. Very rarely.
But no. It didn't change the virus. The virus just became resistant to the drugs. The virus itself is still doing the same thing. You see what I'm saying? That's what they call them.
Okay,
that would make it more deadly. It would easier to catch or something like that.
More deadly. That's the whole point of evolution. They evolve faster than we do, and the idea that they become less deadly is very rarely the case.
No, that's more often the case because that's nature. They want to be able to keep the host alive as long as possible so they can propagate and be alive as long as possible.
Then why does the influenza that we have now always seem to be taking out more people or have higher symptoms? And the idea, too, is you're assuming that somehow we're going to get an already jacked up crossbreed of
I'm not.
multiple viruses. Well, no, but the idea that what they're talking about China doing and gain-of-function research and trying to specifically create a pathogen is to combine all the worst things they can get into a respiratory virus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's dangerous to assume that somehow in a very short period of time is going to mutate into a less virulent form instead of a more virulent form.
Well, in less than a year,
Well,
COVID did.
Yeah, COVID did. And here's the deal. It's in the construction, right? And a lot of people don't know that there had been like people that were complaining about the safety protocols in the Wuhan lab. So all this stuff comes into play as to whether it was intentionally released or, I think we're getting bogged down in minutia here. So let's keep rolling with the deal. And, it's like I'm prepping you guys to get pissed off because here it comes. It's coming. All right, we're not even there yet.
Some doctors were infected by coronavirus. Now, the authors of this document insist that a third world war will be, quote, biological, unquote, and that bioweapons will be, quote, the core weapon for victory, unquote. The document also outlines the ideal conditions in which to release a bioweapon and cause maximum damage. Don't carry out the attack in the middle of a clear day. Sunlight can damage the pathogens. Rain or snow can affect the aerosol particles. So, release the bioweapons at night, dawn, dusk, or under cloudy weather with, quote, a stable wind direction so that the aerosol can float into the target area, unquote. Chinese research notes that such an attack would result in a surge of patients requiring a surge of hospital treatment, quote, which would then cause the enemy's medical system to collapse, unquote. Where is the World Health Organization in all of this? New York Republican Lee Zeldin has slammed China for, quote, covering up to the world the pandemic's origin, while the WHO has, quote, played along, he said, time and time again, unquote. The documents now accessed reveal that a nationwide scheme was launched 9 years ago in China to discover new viruses and to detect the, quote, dark matter of biology involved in spreading diseases. London's Daily Mail newspaper and our own Australian have reported a lot of this. What we don't hear is any government response. This virus detection project is led by civilian and military scientists in China, including the virologist named Batwoman, Professor Shi Zheng Li, and an epidemiologist, Colonel Kao, who studied at Cambridge University but works with other military scientists at the Academy of Military Medical Sciences of the People's Liberation Army. We are surely indebted to the thoroughness of Tom Pyman for Mail Online and Mark Nicol, the diplomacy editor of the Daily Mail, who report that Chinese scientific teams had found, by 2018, 4 new pathogens and 10 new bacteria, while more than 1,640 new viruses were discovered. And Colonel Kao unapologetically says that he and Professor Shi, quote, can always find a virus that's never been found in humans, unquote. Why, may we ask, a Chinese military? Forget Darwin, Daru, and the fishing vessels. Why has Chinese military ramped up their hiring of scientists, with President Xi saying this was a key element in China's march for global supremacy? And many of these Chinese scientists have been working with Western institutes, stealing our knowledge, but refusing to share critical information, even about coronavirus. The biggest weapon available to China today is an incoherent and cognitively deprived President of the United States. Where is the collective Western leadership to lay it on the line and challenge China to come clean? Or do we just accept the Chinese scientists have been preparing for a third world war fought with biological and genetic weapons? Is this why China covered up the early stages of coronavirus, concealed the transmissibility of the virus, and punished doctors who expressed concern about it in late 2019? Is this why Chinese officials have perpetuated a host of dubious theories to suggest that the coronavirus didn't originate in China? Coronavirus may well be the thin edge of the wedge. Is coronavirus a preliminary test of this new biological strategy? Do we have the scholarship in our parliaments to deal with this? I suspect not. What do you think? Email me, alan@skynews.com.au. The text line 0414 000 848.
Senator Scott?
Scott 11 would require the establishment of a federal committee to research the origins of COVID-19.
Madam Chair. Senator,
Why is
Senator
it
Young.
silent?
Could I just
Okay.
inquire of my good friend from Florida whether this federal committee to research the origins of COVID-19, if I have the amendment right, would be the Tech Directorate, sort of distinct federal committee, and use authorized funds from the Endless Frontier Act to fund said committee?
So it creates a committee with HHS, NIH, CDC, DOD, DHS, USDA, DNI, and DO Department of State to study the origins of COVID-19. And it's going to give grant awards to such ends, report to the President and Congress on the findings.
Okay, so thank you.
I'm opposing this amendment because it takes money away from the Tech Directorate. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Cruz.
I wanted to speak in favor of Senator Scott's amendment here. Look, all of us have dealt with the pandemic of COVID for a year and a half now. There are very serious questions about the origin of this pandemic. In particular, we know that the outbreak began in Wuhan, China. We heard initially the reports that it began in a wet market from animals that were slaughtered there. Subsequently, we discovered that there are not one but two virology labs controlled, owned, and run by the Chinese government in Wuhan, including one virology lab that is literally 400 yards away from the wet market where the outbreak occurred. We also know that that virology lab was studying coronaviruses. Not just coronaviruses, it was studying coronaviruses derived from bats. The bats that it was studying, the only place they occur naturally, the closest place they occur naturally to Wuhan is in caves 900 miles away from the wet market. We also know that the State Department had two separate internal wires prior to the outbreak of the pandemic, raising serious concerns about the security protocols of that Wuhan Institute of Virology lab, and in particular that they did not adequately protect against the accidental escape of a dangerous pathogen. And the State Department wires said in writing, before anyone had ever heard of COVID-19, that there was a significant risk of the poor security protocols at the Wuhan Institute of Virology leading to a global pandemic of a coronavirus. Now, we don't have hard evidence that COVID-19 escaped from the lab. Initially, media reports treated any such suggestion as some wild-eyed conspiracy theory. And indeed, the Washington Post led the reporting on this and discussed scientists saying that based on the genetic markings of COVID-19, that it did not appear to be constructed in a laboratory. It did not appear to be a man-made virus. I have no reason to dispute that conclusion. But whether or not it is a man-made virus doesn't answer the question whether it is a naturally occurring virus that occurred in bats that was being studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and that escaped accidentally, either through an animal being infected or a person being infected because of poor security protocols. As we sit here today, I think that is the most likely inference. It is supported by circumstantial evidence. We should not be satisfied, given that millions have died based on COVID-19, with having only circumstantial evidence. We also know that the Chinese government actively and aggressively suppressed information about COVID-19 when heroic Chinese whistleblowers, when doctors and journalists spoke out against COVID-19 in December 2 years ago. They were arrested, they were disappeared, they were silenced. And on any level, the Chinese Communist government bears very significant culpability for allowing this to spread beyond a regional outbreak into a global pandemic. And it seems to me what Senator Scott has proposed is a serious government inquiry into what occurred. That should be an examination in particular of the records of those Wuhan labs that the Chinese government doesn't want to give. They want no scrutiny whatsoever, and they insist that no one can ask those questions. I would encourage a strong bipartisan vote. I think the American people very much want to know the origin of COVID-19, the degree to which the Chinese government bears responsibility for, in all likelihood, inadvertently allowing it to escape. And in terms of the funds, Madam Chairman, I understand that the objection that it takes some of the funds at issue, but this bill is a $100 billion bill. The amount of funds required to have a commission to produce a report on the origins of COVID-19 are not even a rounding error. I mean, it is a tiny drop in the bucket, and given the degree of public importance of this question, I would encourage members of the committee to support this amendment.
Madam Chair.
Senator Wicker.
Madam Chair, I would agree with Senator Cruz, and I would hope the chair would rethink her initial reaction to this. I think the American people will appreciate the adoption of this Scott amendment. As Senator Cruz says, the questions are out there. This is at the forefront of what we're inquiring about daily on the news, and it can't be that expensive to do this. We might refine it between now and the time it gets signed by the President of the United States.
Dr. Fauci, we don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. 3 million people have died from this pandemic, and that should cause us to explore all possibilities. Instead, government authorities, self-interested in continuing gain-of-function research, say there's nothing to see here. Gain-of-function research, as you know, is juicing up naturally occurring animal viruses to infect humans. To arrive at the truth, the U.S. government should admit that the Wuhan Virology Institute was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. Juicing up superviruses is not new. Scientists in the U.S. have long known how to mutate animal viruses to infect humans. For years, Dr. Ralph Barrick, a virologist in the U.S., has been collaborating with Dr. Shi Zhengli of the Wuhan Virology Institute, sharing his discoveries about how to create superviruses. This gain-of-function research has been funded by the NIH. The collaboration between the U.S. and the Wuhan Virology Institute continues. Doctors Barrick and Shi worked together to insert bat virus spike protein into the backbone of the deadly SARS virus, and then use this man-made supervirus to infect human airway cells. Think about that for a moment. The SARS virus had a 15% mortality. We're fighting a pandemic that has about a 1% mortality. Can you imagine if a SARS virus that's been juiced up and had viral proteins added to it, to the spike protein, if that were released accidentally? Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute.
Do they fund
of
Dr.
Virology.
Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
You don't think inserting a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That is
not
not
a minority, because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
Exactly.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant
not doing it,
and you
but
look
if
at
he
the
is.
progress reports, it is not gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So
they
do you
write
still
about it.
support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not.
Yeah, notice how Fauci's like slipping and sliding, and cited a tweet. Did you catch
is
that?
lying through his fucking teeth.
Yeah,
because there's line items, payments to groups associated.
Okay,
with
so
working
I'm not
or
a
the
moron,
direct
and the way that this shit is unfolding, all right, tonight, is going somewhere, and it's leading to specific people.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of, I don't know. Let's go with some more, because this exchange is fucking gold. It's probably the best thing that's happened this week for our country, I think. I like this guy.
Keep in mind, everybody, this senator is actually a physician.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, he understands
Dr. Fauci
viruses.
acting like he doesn't know what, like Senator Ryan doesn't know, or Senator Paul doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, that's a big mistake.
It's adorable.
It is
Fucking adorable.
You gone? I thought I heard you saying.
No, I agree.
Right? Right.
Also,
Right.
I wanted to say Ted Cruz is awesome too, but
yep,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
used to
is
hate him.
sexy.
I remember I thought he was kind
Sex
of a joke
dreams.
before, but my opinions completely changed as I have.
Yeah.
See, Fauci thinks that he can talk shit to the senator because the senator's not going by doctor. I think that's what that's probably what's working in his mind.
Well, no, I think
Well,
that
in a way, Fauci has to treat him that way to try to discredit him.
Right.
So if he downplays,
It makes him look worse, in my opinion.
See, this is
if
a
he
trial thing, right?
downplays Paul's,
Becca, this is like a court thing, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's very similar, and there are a lot of attorneys that are on these committees. And,
Oh,
and
trust
having
me.
these hearings.
Yeah. He
So
needs.
you get to see the double speak and the way that they try to avoid answering questions. Fauci is trying, and he's very specific in what he says and how he responds to some of these, but he does trip up. Because when you lie, it's hard to keep up with your own lies.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he slips up a few times during this exchange, and
Right.
it's
Well, they're
fun to watch.
All right, let's keep rolling.
Adolescent way to fight
All right.
too.
Yeah.
Well, and Fauci's lying through his fucking teeth, by the way.
Yeah,
He's
no
just
shit.
lying,
Yeah.
outright lying.
All right, check it out.
If that were released accidentally. Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research in the Wuhan Institute.
Do they fund
of
Dr.
Virology.
Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain of function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain of function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
You don't think inserting a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That is
you would
not
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not.
Brett Weinstein cited that. He had signed it too. Just wanted to say.
Gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So do you still support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan Virology
Do you support
Institute.
sending money? We did under your tutelage. We were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency and a sub-grant. Do you support the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible.
So he just denied this shit. Now he said this is how we did it.
He went in under 60 seconds from "we don't do that" to "it would have been irresponsible if we didn't do that."
Exactly. So he just fucking.
What he reminds me of is Bill Clinton when he did the whole "it depends on what your definition of is."
That's right.
Except for Fauci, who looks like a human Muppet.
Yeah.
Do you guys? Yeah, he does.
Come here, sit on my leg.
Remember?
We're talking about the first thing that pops up. Sorry.
Do y'all remember the video clip of Fauci at a conference back in like 2012 or some shit? Holding his hands on the podium, or 2014 something. I think Obama was already in office. His hands on the podium like he's really important, talking about how the next president is going to have to be prepared for an outbreak.
For an outbreak.
Remember? And he was smug and kind of weird, dictatory with it. Yeah. Golly, 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 golly.
Yeah. Something that made him important again, since the AIDS shit wore off. All right.
Of us, if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been infected.
Or perhaps it would be
China.
responsible to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain-of-function research.
I don't favor gain-of-function research in China. You are saying
naturally.
things that are not correct.
Government defenders of gain-of-function, such as yourself, say that COVID-19 mutations were random and not designed by man. But interestingly, the technique that Dr. Barrick developed forces mutations by serial passage through cell culture that the mutations appear to be natural. In fact, Dr. Barrick named the technique the no-see-em technique because the mutations appear naturally. Nicholas Baker in the New York Magazine said nobody would know if the virus had been fabricated in a laboratory or grown in nature. Government authorities in the U.S., including yourself, unequivocally deny that COVID-19 could have escaped a lab. But even Dr. Shi in Wuhan wasn't so sure. According to Nicholas Baker, Dr. Shi wondered, could this new virus have come from her own laboratory? She checked her records frantically and found no matches. That really took a load off my mind, she said. I had not slept for days. The director of the gain-of-function research in Wuhan couldn't sleep because she was terrified that it might be in her lab. Dr. Barrick, an advocate of gain-of-function research, admits the main problem that the Institute of Virology has is the outbreak occurred in close proximity. What are the odds? Barrick responded, could you rule out a laboratory escape? The answer in this case is probably not. Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation.
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese
have done. I just gave them money and didn't ask for receipts. I love that.
Investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of
You
Virology.
support it in the U.S. We have 11 labs doing it, and you have allowed it here. We have a committee to do it, but the committee has granted every exemption.
Thank you.
You're fooling with Mother Nature here. You're allowing super viruses to be created with
Thank
a
you.
15% mortality. It's very dangerous. I think it was a huge mistake to share this with China, and it's a huge mistake to allow this to continue in the United States. And we should be very careful to investigate where this virus came from.
I fully agree that you should investigate where the virus came from. But again, we have not funded gain-of-function research on this virus in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You're parsing words. You're parsing
You say
words.
it.
There
It
was
didn't happen.
research. There was research done with Dr. Shi and Dr. Barrick. They have collaborated on gain-of-function research where they enhanced the SARS virus to infect human airway cells, and they did it by merging a new spike protein on it. That is gain-of-function.
From
That
a
was
bat.
joint research between the Wuhan Institute
gonna say
and
no
Dr.
again.
Barrick. You can't deny it.
Senator Paul, your time has expired. Dr. Fauci, I will let you respond to that when we need to move on.
Excuse me?
I will allow you to respond to that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, I don't know how many times I can say it, Madam Chair. We did not
Ignore it.
fund gain-of-function
Fuck
research
that.
to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
The doctors, thank you all for being here. I approach you now kind of as a
Maybe
physician
you
who's done
didn't
research
fund
and
that
vaccines
research,
as much
but
as
you
more
funded
so
the
than I'm approaching as a
institute and they
senator.
were doing
I was
the
struck, and by the way, I'm incredibly frustrated.
Well, and they were funding
And the
it in
American
the
people are
United
frustrated
States, so
because they
it's
hear
not
you're
like-
following science,
Yes.
but then they just have a sense that the lag time between the implementation of that and recommendations is far too long. It's not just the American people. I'll put it this way, not just the people in my state. Here's a stat article: CDC slope.
See, we were doing the work in the United States, right? And then Obama drew a moratorium on that kind of study, and then it was farmed out to China, right?
Well, he also, did you catch the part where he double spoke and he was like, "We have not done gain-of-function research on this virus." On this virus, but
Uh-huh.
you're doing it, so it's not like that information isn't going to cross over. Oh well, we did it on a different virus. Oh, well, that makes it okay.
Well, maybe it was maybe it was a SARS virus that they modified and created this virus with.
They accidentally made this one.
Yeah,
I mean, I
Be
think
too
you were
hard.
right.
I don't think it's accidental.
He's trying to
Well,
be a
accidentally.
witness where he can't basically come back and be accused of perjury later on. He wants to try.
Well, yeah. You got to
Yes,
give
with
every
that
answer.
line.
Can I ask you? All right, so
Answers. I can't know that one.
I've watched this motherfucker for over a year and a half now, and I can't decide whether he's got his head up his own ass because he's so entrenched in the academic aspect of it, or he's fully aware of everything that he's saying and doing, and is just fucking doesn't give a shit, you know?
Are you talking about
give a
Fauci?
shit.
Yes.
What?
Are you talking about Fauci?
Yes.
I think it's a combination. I think he has an enormous ego, and I also think he assumes other people are fucking stupid. I think he thinks I think he has zero respect for the average American. I think he thinks every American is stupid, and he is on some higher plane, and we are but pawns that he can manipulate. And that's why I think that's why he struggles to tell the same story twice, and he doesn't think of how people are going to interpret it because he doesn't think anybody else is thinking. I think that's the separation of him. The academic.
He's been getting away with this shit forever, right?
Well,
Well,
he also
if you
assumes
notice-
Americans are dumb.
If you noticed, as Paul was pushing one question and asking it different ways, Fauci was growing more and more frustrated because he's not used to that kind of pushback. He is used to going up to a podium, saying his piece,
Being
and
the
everybody
expert,
licking his
exactly.
ass afterwards. So for Paul to sit there and question him over and over again on the same topic, and Fauci trying to answer it different ways, that's how he tripped himself up because he was lying.
Exactly. All right, let's keep rolling with this. We may want to move through this, guys.
Cautious messaging seems out of step with the moment. Want to go back to the office? Don't wait on the CDC. That's from Wall Street Journal. And the liberals who can't quit lockdown from the Atlantic. So first, I was struck when Senator Burr suggested that previous immunization actually confers immunity. Do any of you agree with that? Dr. Fauci?
Does previous immunization confer?
Does previous infection confer immunity?
It does. We don't know what the durability of it is, but it certainly does confer immunity.
But we still recommend that they be vaccinated.
Yeah, we do.
That seems out of step.
No, actually, Senator, a study has shown very clearly that if you vaccinate someone who has previously gotten infected and recovered, the level of neutralizing antibodies in T cells are extraordinarily high, not only against the wild type virus, but also against the
I'm aware of
variants.
that research. I pulled some of that research that refers to that.
Right.
My concern
That's
is that
such
would happen if
bullshit.
you had another infection. All the immunization does is mimic a pre-existing infection. That is very well established with other viruses. No one has not established it for this virus. And indeed, some of this research shows that within 4 days, which is the window period, if you will, for an infection to become an illness, those antibodies rise quite precipitously. But we still recommend that they get 2 doses, even though the same literature shows that there is an increase in side effects when someone gets a second dose and they've been previously
Ding,
immunized.
ding, ding.
So not life-threatening, but nonetheless an increase in side effects. But nowhere do I see a recommendation that, well, don't get the second dose because the literature shows that after
That's why
one
I'm not
dose you've
getting
topped out your
the
immunologic
vaccine.
response and you're at an increased risk with the second dose. Would anybody like to speak to that?
Is that what they're
So
saying?
there are studies ongoing to look at the first versus second dose. I agree with you. It is a very
suspicious part. If you've been sick, they don't care. They want you to get immunized.
Yeah, I don't
matter
understand
what.
that. I've had it. I'm not doing.
All right.
If
What
I'm
was the
pretty sure
question?
we've had it, and I'm not getting the shot.
What was the
None
question?
of what they're saying makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so what he's saying is everybody is saying it makes no sense to make people that have had it to get the vaccine, and Fauci's
Mhm.
saying it's because of the variants, and everybody else is going, well, that's not what the data says.
Yeah.
Right.
And prior vaccination data, it doesn't support what Fauci is pushing. I have the antibodies, so there's no reason for me to get this vaccine, and yet I'm getting pushed to go get the vaccine because according to Fauci, I'm like double protected against
You're supercharged.
variants.
That's not
that's
how
just
your
not-
immune system works.
Right. There's a reason why I didn't get the chickenpox vaccine and the measles vaccine. I already had
even
both
if
those.
you get the vaccine, it'll it's going to change again, and then you're going to have to get a different vaccine the next round. You
Right.
know?
This is a flu shot. This is a flu shot. That's what this is. And then, oh my gosh, the flu shots that people get every year is usually a season or 2 behind what's actually out there.
Yeah, well, remember we were goofing last week, and we threw that out there that it may be because nobody ever gets the flu shot anymore. It was like, well, fuck, we're making all these shots and nobody's, we're not selling them.
Right.
Yeah,
the Big Pharma was losing money on flu shots because they were expiring.
Oh my God! You know
So-
what my doctor said, which made me really pissed off. He said that he had said, you notice how there are fewer people getting the flu now? It's because everyone's
Bruh.
staying inside because of COVID, and they're
Masks.
all wearing masks
No.
and protecting themselves.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's the next part.
well, then why are people getting
No.
COVID then? I don't know.
It goes through the mask sometimes.
well, see, right, they're being diagnosed with COVID.
COVID scared away
Being
the flu.
diagnosed with it, but there
Oh,
doesn't seem to be any fucking samples. Of
There's
it.
all kinds of
Diagnosed either.
scuttlebutt flying out there about the numbers being all fucked up and
Some of them
fabricated.
admitted they were.
Yeah.
Fauci came out like
That
a
video
few
got
days
deleted.
ago and said that there's no doubt in his mind that COVID deaths are severely undercounted.
You know that part has pissed me off since the beginning. The minute and it wasn't him, it was Birx, said, "Oh, well, people who die from other things but had COVID at the time, or we think had COVID, will be counted as COVID." If you're counting motorcycle accidents, gunshots, cancer patients dying, people on hospice dying as COVID deaths, first off, you're doing that for no other reason than to inflate the numbers, and secondly,
Well, no,
you're overcounting.
They're getting subsidized by the federal government.
Bing,
For
bing,
every
bing, bing.
COVID
There
death
was-
they
there
get,
was
they
an
got money.
incentive. But
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
an incentive from the physician's point of view to diagnose COVID.
Right.
But the idea that you would not separate as just basic epidemiology 2 categories of mortality: died with COVID and died from COVID. There is no mathematical, logical justification for that beyond wanting to make it seem worse than it actually is.
Right.
Well, that's what they were doing in the beginning, but
Fear porn.
I think
is.
in March or February, states were going back and removing people from their death rolls or
Yes, they
whatever
were.
they're calling them because they were counting everything as COVID.
got
And
the
then they
money.
were like, no, this isn't right. Like family members were pushing back. Like, no, my dad was in hospice. He died of cancer.
Yeah, but they still got that money, right?
Yeah, it's
You
mainly
see,
because
double
the
dipping.
government was giving money.
That's
You
right.
guys remember the claim that there was one person under 18 who died from COVID? You guys remember that at all?
Right.
It was a dude who
Yeah.
was, I think, 2 months away from his 18th birthday, and he was a 350-pound diabetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, they had a sad. It was sad. I mean, but they had a teen in Oklahoma, and they're like, this teen died. She had to be pushing 400 pounds
Right.
of COVID. I'm like, she didn't just die of COVID. That was clearly not a healthy young lady. And I'm not happy she died.
Yeah.
But she
Me
could have
neither.
just as easily died during a bad flu season because she was already in a very bad way.
Okay,
Or
let's
something else
She
caught
could
up.
have died during a hot summer.
let's roll some more.
All right,
We're getting close.
A reasonable proposition for study, but the purpose of immunizing somebody who's been infected previously is to develop higher antibody titers. Those high antibody titers are what is so critical in preventing.
If I may, again, the studies and
not
other
how
viruses
the
show,
immune
hopefully we have
system
research showing here, but it
works.
appears to, that a re-immunization merely mimics what would happen if somebody were exposed to the virus. All it does is kind of mimic that which would occur.
Senator, this is a different virus. Each
It
virus
is a different
has
virus.
its
Dr. Marks,
issues.
is there research going to explore that which I'm referring
It's
to? Because the
not
research so
variant
far
enough
shows
to
that within
make
4
the
days you get a
immune
significant
system
increase in
not
antibody titer.
work.
There's research that's been done to show that after
Right.
vaccination,
Why
the nature of the
they're
immune response gives
insisting
sufficiently
on
high titer
vaccination
antibodies that the
in order
That's with every
post-vaccination
virus.
immune
herd
response
That's with every
immunity
virus. That is not
instead of
unique to this.
counting
is
the
likely superior
infections
to
as
natural
well,
infection in
is
this
so
case
that
in
they
preventing
can
against some
make
of
it
these variants. And I
harder
think
to
that's what
hit
Dr.
them
Fauci was getting
percent
to.
so
And I'll
they
also
can
point out that
maintain
the vaccines
control
themselves,
for
presumably
longer.
the previous infection is also effective against the
Well,
variants.
if you calculate in all
By the way,
yeah.
can people go back to work if they've been vaccinated and not wear a mask, assuming they're not immunocompromised?
We have about a third of people in this country who are vaccinated. We have about a third of counties in this country that still have over 100 cases per 100,000. We are working to review our guidance and to update our guidance. We have put out 3 different
I'm
guidance.
sorry, let me just ask again. If I'm vaccinated and I have antibody and I'm exposed to somebody else, what is my risk of coming down with symptomatic infection?
5%.
5%.
All right, now she's the CDC, and this was Wednesday. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So check.
No, that's overall. Not if I've been vaccinated and if I have antibody. That's if I'm vaccinated overall. Correct. If
I don't
have
think we have data on what you're looking at. We did not check antibodies on everybody who was vaccinated.
Well, we could.
We absolutely could, but to date we only have
And we do
information
know
about
that if we know that critical mass or if we know that herd immunity is somewhere north of 60 or 70%. If we go into a workplace where within that workplace there is 100% immunization, such as here, we've achieved herd immunity. Yeah, there's somebody in here that may not be responding to the vaccine, but because everybody else has, they're protected. That's nowhere reflected. And right now we have federal agencies, which we've had employees not working for a year because the union says that they have to have special workplace precautions for them to return to work. There is consequence to this kind of delay, as the stat article shows, of the kind of updating of these recommendations. The American people are incredibly frustrated. And as Senator Collins says, they're beginning to disregard what you say that's true. Because what you say, so much of what you say is patently not true. I have to wear a mask when I'm outside and the wind's blowing at 20 miles an hour. And that's been changed, but it was only changed recently. They seek not to believe those things which are true. You gotta realize. You gotta be more real time. Let me finish with this. I don't know, it was a stat article in the New York Times that pointed on the HIV epidemic. The recommendations were much more kind of calibrated to real life. Listen, we know people are going to do this. If you're going to do it, please accept this recommendation. This is a blanket. Walk outside and wear a mask. You're vaccinated and everybody else is in the room is vaccinated, but you're wearing a mask. The American people just lost patience with us. But you guys, I just ask you to just kind of be aware of their frustration and get a little real time into updating these things. I'm sorry to be so frustrated. I respect you all and thank you for your service.
Oh, don't say that.
Senator
You
Baldwin.
don't deserve that.
Senator Collins.
Thank you. Dr. Walensky, I used to have the utmost respect for the guidance from the CDC. I always considered the CDC to be the gold standard. I don't anymore. And I want to give you 3 examples where I think the conflicting, confusing guidance from your American Medical FOIA request
were transmitted outdoors. It is that meta-analysis that combines science from all sorts of, all different science from many different places. I think over 19 studies were included. The top line result was less than 10%, published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases, one of our top infectious disease journals. That is where that came from. It was a published study, that synthesized study from many places. With regard to camp, I have a 16-year-old. Every year he comes home from camp and he writes the number of days until he returns to camp the next year. This year, it's back to 0 and
roll
I
out. It's almost done.
I want our kids back in camp. We now have 38,000 new infections on average per day. Last May 11th, it was 24,000. And we sent a lot of kids home and camps were closed. The camp guidance is intended to get our kids to camp and allow them to stay there. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I would just ask unanimous consent that the full New York Times story dated today be placed in the record because it answers, I realize I'm out of time, it answers Dr. Walensky's response.
Does she have Parkinson's?
Senator King.
Today,
Dr. Walensky's response.
Her voice has that wobble.
Today, CDC is updating our guidance for fully vaccinated people. Anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physical distancing.
This was Thursday. All right, that's my point. Is that Wednesday she's saying that one thing, and then Thursday she says.
Well, but I also hate that manipulation. You either get vaccinated or you don't get your rights.
And
I also hate that suggestion that the vaccine works, therefore you should get it, but it doesn't work well enough that people who aren't vaccinated can be allowed near people who are.
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
How do
that's
they
they
know?
stupid.
How do they know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't?
Well, they want.
You
I mean, they want to.
legally cannot out
No, they want the mark of the beast.
information
That's
in
right.
there.
They want the mark of the beast on your ass.
Something.
Yes.
That's the push. The push is to institute so they can. It's very
Tracking.
much like 1930s. It's 1930s Germany. I don't think it's just tracking. I think it's who gets the Star of David and who gets the stamp of approval. Who
Like my
gets to
mom got the
wear
vaccine.
swastika, which is your little vaccine stamp. And who gets to wear the Star of David, which will be the you refuse to submit.
Okay.
And that's the whole degradation thing. Because look at how they talk about people who they're conspiracy theorists, they're anti-vaxxers, they're super spreaders. They have a million names. They might as well be Germans calling you, dirty Jews.
My mom got the
wanna
vaccine and they gave her
I
a
want to
card.
know how you spread the disease to people that are vaccinated against
All right, let's keep going.
If you are fully vaccinated, you can start
Eric,
doing
what's
the
the
things that
big
you had stopped doing
inconsistency?
because of the pandemic. We have all longed for this moment when we can get back to some sense of normalcy. Based on the continuing downward trajectory of cases, the scientific data on the performance of our vaccines, and our understanding of how the virus spreads, that moment has come for those who are fully vaccinated. Now, if you are immune compromised, you will most definitely want to talk to your doctor before giving up your mask.
Both CDC Director Walensky and the president of the American Federation of Teachers are now saying that schools in the fall should be 100% open and in person 5 days a week. Do you agree? And if that's the plan, should it be formalized so schools and parents can start preparing?
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe the school should be open 5 days, full blast, just the way it was before. That we really have to do that by the time we get to the fall.
And if the kids are vaccinated, no masks required, right?
Right. Well, again, I'm going to leave that to the CDC to make that decision, but I would think that certainly would be an option if the children are vaccinated not to have a mask.
Well, he's sold on that mask shit, isn't
All right, joining us now is the sworn enemy of the bully bunch, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, the new CDC guidelines prove that vaccinated people wearing masks was in fact theater. You were right. We've been calling on this mask thing just a complete farce since last May. Do you expect an apology anytime soon from the so-called experts?
I kind of doubt it. I thought we were actually going the other way when last week Biden was wearing his during a Zoom call, and I thought Fauci had told him you could get it through a web camera, But no, this is good news for all of us. But you're right. Amidst the good news, there's another set of nanny staters immediately saying, oh, no, we need to have people carry papers. But they seem to be discounting the fact.
And that's the kind of what we were just talking about. So I'll stop it right there. But this is pretty much Rand Paul saying, I told you so, suck my dick. So, I mean, that's what I would say under these circumstances. I don't know about y'all. All right, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to turn the audio down, but we're going to watch some motherfucking nature because, we've had enough of viruses and shit.
It's nature. It's motherfucking nature.
Motherfucking nature.
Excuse me.
Nothing.
Makes me crazy. What? Yeah. Puppy,
Puppy's like, can I help? Can I help? Can I help?
I nom you. I nom nom.
I'll take that help any day.
He's like, shit.
Nom 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 nom.
He's about to send that truck flying backwards.
Funniest thing ever is watching a puppy get its tooth hooked in my dreadlocks.
Yeah, just remember they lick their buttholes too. So
That's true. They eat shit out the yard. Oh shit!
No.
Look at me
Hey, you
trolling.
know what? At least he didn't poop on the floor.
He's
Yeah, he's
trying.
well trained. Well trained doggy.
Oh, he's
Good
too
Let you out,
dog.
but I'll meet you halfway.
I
Those
do
can be
not like.
Little baby goats, little kids.
Oh, dude.
That's
Billy
for
goats
goat
are
man.
a little dangerous.
I do not get along.
That
with
is for the
that.
goat man. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's a
Yeah,
box. That's a box.
This
Oh,
is-
dear.
He's gonna
Is
pound
it
like a
empty?
leap on him.
well, yeah. We needed this palate cleanser, I think. Then
Yeah, we
And it's
did.
like, what's this important shit? Get it all lined up. And
We went all risky business on the tabletop.
that cat was like, "Is this shit important?"
Wee.
Oh, that bird's gonna poop right in the camera.
no, this is a bird. This is attacking this dude every time he goes by it. All right. And so he decided to pull his phone out because he was telling his friends they didn't believe him.
You gotta
It
stop.
was
this
a
bird.
mockingbird.
Yeah.
Is it a mockingbird or it's a mockingbird?
It's a mockingbird. They're assholes.
They are.
How can you tell it's not a magpie? I can never tell. I always think the wings are the same.
The magpies are way bigger,
Yeah.
and I think they're black. The mockingbirds are a gray
They both
blue.
have black
color.
and white.
I think it depends on where you live.
Yeah, ours
It's a bird.
It's an
ours is
asshole.
more of a gray blue color with the
Bird.
color.
Bird
Bird
is
is
a
a
word.
word.
Is this in the
Mocking-
U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then, yeah, it would be a mockingbird.
The bird is equal to or greater than the word.
Birds are dicks a lot of times. Chickens are gross.
They can be traumatizing for sure. Ozzy, there was one by by our mailbox, and for a while there, every time she would try to get the mail, it would swoop down on her and shit.
Oh, Uzi.
I know, and she's like, it was kind of funny, but kind of like, oh, baby,
Like this
I'll get
dog.
the mail.
It's like, hi.
Hey, man.
Tickle your face, Dad.
Uh-oh.
Like seagulls will like
What is
run
that,
over
a
people.
pig?
I think it's
That's a pig.
It's a pig, dude.
How'd I get in
Oh
there?
my gosh!
Oh, when you ran into the window.
Knock
Why
the
are
window
you
out.
climbing on the? You
It doesn't
people
have
Oh
it.
no, it's not.
Because
It's
it's a
not
wild
gonna
pig.
eat you. Oh my
It's a
God!
boar.
y'all
It's a wild boar or some shit. What the
Oh
fuck?
my gosh.
Ants fell down.
Cat.
Oh, the
Or is
cat!
that an angry cat?
It's a cat, dude.
Cat. What the?
Oh,
The
there's
cat's
a
like, "Get that
cat.
bitch ass dog. Get that bitch ass dog.
Oh, I want the cat on my
Oh,
team.
cat.
Oh, that was
Cat.
Oh, I think these are two. This may not be an animal thing. I think I didn't. These are
No,
two.
they're animals.
These are two bitches fighting.
Last I
Yes,
checked, you
No,
guys
there's a
are
dog.
still animals.
There was a
Okay.
dog.
There's a dog over there. Yeah.
it's a bitch fight.
There's a dog. We're good. There's a dog
Dog's
Okay.
watching.
So
Yeah.
it's a cat fight.
Oh, yeah. It's yeah.
They're fighting over the dog. See? They're pointing at the dog. Now they're fighting.
Whoa.
You need to
Are
put a
they
mask on
sisters?
that dog, man. You need to put a mask on your dog. God damn
Are they
it.
sisters?
Yeah.
They're fighting like sisters, aren't they?
They're grabbing hair and
Yeah,
shit.
they go
Going,
in each other's
They just
car.
fought like
going
family.
for that
didn't
hair. That's right.
Maybe.
They went to the Becca Fairley School of Scrapping.
The fucking
yeah.
women in my family fight with balls and fists.
The Feeling
Daddy
Froggy
taught us how
School.
to- Yeah, my dad taught me and my sister.
Oh, maybe
how
it was
to
over the
fight.
red hat, guys.
Oh, yeah?
Bag hat.
Yeah, we were the only two girls on both sides of the family, so we had to learn how to fight with the boys.
I bet you did, man.
I got nothing but daughters. I got one son, and the rest are all
Yeah,
girls.
you got one brother that's terrified of your ass, man.
Well, he keeps coming over, and
Oh,
I
that
keep
poor crab.
raising his
You
ass.
keep,
Look,
man.
crab's eating
Yeah.
his dog.
Oh boy.
You
They're
gotta,
giant sea bugs, y'all.
yeah. And they're very tasty. They're very good.
really,
Sweet meat. You know.
Damn,
I mean, if
look at that.
They gonna fight over this. They gonna fight.
well, if the bugs, on this side of the water
Cannibalism.
were that tasty, I would consider eating them. To be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Well, maybe
Cannibalism.
for dominance, in which case he's just not wasting, the remains. He's being environmentally friendly.
There we
Yeah,
go.
very
yeah.
green. Very green.
Crabs have such large brains. I'm sure they think about such things often.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
They ate their own baby, so this is really nothing. I
He's
don't
making
know.
up for his carbon footprint, yo. Yeah.
Oh, he's really going to he's going to town on that.
He's
That is
trying to crack it
Oh
open.
my god, he's eating his butthole. Oh, never mind. Was looking for a second
I
there.
wonder what's inside your butthole. I wonder what's inside your butthole. Maybe there are astronauts, maybe there are aliens all inside your butthole.
Oh, it's a Pomeranian. I don't like
It's a
Pomeranian.
Pomeranian inside your
They're a
butthole.
little nippy.
The only, yeah, I was to say the only dog my daughter's ever been bit by was a Pomeranian, and it was my father's dog. It's so hard not to knock it down.
Give us high fives.
I give you 5. I give you 10, man.
Dude, Huskies are great, but they're a little retarded.
Yeah, and it's a sin to have them down here in the South, man. It gets so hot.
That's very true.
They're
They
like
love
too
they
too
love
retarded
snow
and too
way
smart
too much.
at the same time.
Yeah. Did he miss the window?
Man, the smartest dogs I've ever owned were mutts.
Okay.
This guy trained a rat. You know, all right. You know a psych major when they got a pet rat. You know they majored in psych back in the day.
I never majored in psych, but I
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's
it's
adorable.
It's like this man.
Rats are great pets.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
crows are
Is that a
assholes.
rabbit?
Yes.
It's a rabbit.
Ow!
Can we get them around here?
Are those blackbirds
Those aren't
or
crows,
Those are
martins.
blackbirds.
Uh,
Are
Yeah,
they
those are
martins?
the.
Why are they fucking with me? I just want to hang around and
Yeah, rabbit's like, I'm not a cat, guys.
I'm looking for something to breed with.
Oh, he fogged off his pillow.
That's
That
right.
roll
The
was-
pig don't like Peppa. Peppa, get out of my goddamn room.
Oh, this one's so adorable. Oh my gosh.
My
Big
niece
human
used
versus
to do
baby
this.
deer.
Oh,
So cute.
did y'all see the video of the little kid going around hugging everybody and shit? That was all
Yes.
over. Yeah, I didn't put that in here, although it would fit perfectly.
That's space.
Monkey likes
Is
kitties.
that a seagull?
Yeah.
Yeah, grabbing the sandwich. Watch this shit.
They're so
It's like, bye-bye.
He grabbed a sandwich, man.
Oh my
And-
He stole that. Why would you
Well,
try to
no,
stop
well,
him?
all right, so this is kind of, it happens a lot. Yeah, and they usually steal like chips, like a bag of chips or some shit. But this one was like, yeah, sandwich.
Oh yeah, my
Feel
family
anything
went
like
to
the
the
cookie
Everglades.
Did you see that dance?
The
Look,
seagulls would eat
look at the
the
legs.
cigarette butts.
The cat mastered that
No,
floor.
like they were
Oh,
addicted
God, he's
to
gonna ride the
the
ostrich.
tobacco.
Ugh.
Hell no.
Oh
Oh,
shit!
Look
Run.
at that.
No.
He's
You ain't gonna be able to run
runs that.
fast
They're
enough.
fast. Yeah.
I could see Becca trying that.
Meow. What's up, Daddy?
I know not to fuck with the ostriches.
She's like, I would have brought a
Yeah.
saddle.
Any of those big birds.
You know, they were having emus and shit was a thing for a while in Texas. I know.
We have an emu farm like 5 miles down the road from me, and they
Yeah.
make the best jerky.
Yeah, beef jerky is great, isn't it?
Oh, it's so
big
good.
kitty.
That is a
Eggs,
fat leopard.
ostrich eggs are not bad. I will not lie. They are.
The regular was like, don't film me, bro. Don't film me.
What is going on?
They're so funny, dude. They're fucking battle dance shit, dude.
It is. Trash
I'm
pan.
gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna fuck with you.
My
Trash pandas.
14-year-old identifies as a human version of a raccoon. Tanuki. She's really funny. She's all, I am the human equivalent of a raccoon, and she kind of.
Watch his dog. He's a guy. He's trying to stay awake. He's like me.
He's like, I got
He's like,
That's so cool.
all right, are you awake?
Carl.
Are you awake? God damn it, Uzi.
Boxer?
Yeah.
He's trying to catch the end of the show.
Boxers are sweet, but a bit daft.
They're dumb.
Yeah.
They're a dumb dog.
I've kind of
so
always
hyper.
wanted one.
Sweet.
They're sweet. They're a great dog to have, but they're like Weimaraners too. They're just dumb.
Yeah.
You have them purely if you live in like a small place or something like that. They're great because they're dumb and they don't really do much damage. But if you have a lot of property, they're gonna get themselves hurt.
Well, they're sweet dogs. They like you don't have to worry too much. They easily train. They don't have high expectations. They're great.
And they're very sociable.
Moonbase Alpha wants to hear the intro again. The motherfucking nature. I'll do it at the end. Oh yeah, we are done.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Sweet
yep.
bean
It's the hour.
butter. Oh, it is.
Wow.
Sniggity snap. Right on time, Irene. Good job.
That was perfect.
Oh,
It's motherfucking nature.
I didn't turn it up, man. You got to hear the metal. You know, that's what makes it so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It's mother. It's nature. It's mother. Nature.
Yes.
Indeed. We're going to the green room, y'all. And quit that.
I can't handle any more green.
Well, you know what? I've got like 30 minutes of Russian dash cam that we didn't get to last week, man.
I muted for a minute and then I kind of zonked out for like about a half an hour.
You all right, dude?
Yeah.
He's buzzed.
And
that buzz on.
Yeah.
That monkey buzz.
Monkey, what's what?
Got a little out of too stoned and just kind of like leaned back.
Kind of like that dog, man, right?
Yeah, I came to. I'm just like, oh shit, get the stream still going because oh fuck.
What time did you get up this morning, Monkey?
Night Gun Fox, man. Thanks. We appreciate you big time.
Yeah, I got up at like 5:45. I'm like, oh.
That's when I was gonna get up, but I'm having old man bladder syndrome, so I get up like 3 times a night to pee. It's like, fuck.
I drink so much coffee before you go to bed.
Dude, I've been chugging freaking water, man. I'm to like almost 2 gallons a day now, almost.
Sounds like you need to get some electrolytes in your system, boy.
Yeah, you might be light on salts.
That too. Or, well, yeah, that.
Because you're flushing so much water through your system, you might be light on salts.
Gatorade.
Hey, you don't want to accidentally dehydrate yourself.
Hey, everybody.
Gatorade.
All right, hush for 1 second. Let freedom ring.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all didn't hear that, but it was Ted Cruz yelling freedom
Okay.
a couple of times. Freedom! Freedom! Anyway. Yes.
I have a tiny comment to make. Did
Okay.
anybody else notice that Cheney, Madam Retard Cheney, got booted from the GOP today? Does this mean it's the beginning of the establishment purge inside of the Republican Party?
The Rhino purge.
That would be pretty.
Yeah,
She didn't get purged from the party though, just from her leadership position.
Yeah. But it's a sign of the times, I believe, you know, and
I wouldn't get your hopes up. I think they ran out of road with her. They couldn't, because they tried to shelter her once with that anonymous vote where they kept her, and then I think they realized it was going to bite them in the ass. I think that's the only reason they got rid of her.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That bitch is toxic. She is a.
You can't fix stupid, but you can elect it to Congress.
Yeah, but Cheney doesn't have. It's not like she had a great reputation to ride on. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
No,
Well-
she basically bought her seat. She's not even from Wyoming. She bought a home there so she could run there. She's from Virginia.
Right.
she needed to go back to Virginia.
Well, her dad's an original swamp critter, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's probably hanging out with Kissinger and them, planning the global agenda and all that shit. But remember, everybody, we back what the CDC says, and they said that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. That's exactly what the CDC said, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that. Well, in some cases, you might want to wear a mask, you know, and
places.
Yeah, see the details for all the you know what may apply to you. I'm just saying what the CDC said.
Also, remember that the Supreme Court has already determined that your medical information is protected information. So if anybody asks you to see anything, you can literally say, I plead the fourth.
That's the thing, though, Tim. My mom got the vaccine, and she's got a card in her, and they told her to keep it like in her purse or wallet or whatever.
Fuck that.
A card.
Yeah.
So you could be like,
Oh no!
vaccinated.
I think
Look at
that's
this.
what they're trying to, and they're
That's
also trying
illegal.
to push. Well, but they're going to try and make. Oh, what did Biden say? The Constitution is not absolute.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about the White House saying that
It's a living document
of the White House?
It literally
His
is
opinion's
not.
not the opinion of the White House, everybody.
Yeah, he doesn't get. Well, they're scared. I mean, I think they know he's a loose cannon at best.
I heard he was going in to get checked out because he's got a bubble on his head.
When I was putting this together tonight, okay, I was listening to the New York Times has done an article inside the White House, and it makes him look like Jimmy Carter. Literally is what they said. He's bogged down in details. I can't remember what else they said, but
the difference though, Carter was flawed, but he was a good person. I think he is. I think Carter. He wasn't good. He wasn't a good fit for the presidency, but he was a good person, and he was smart. Biden is neither smart nor a good person. He's a monster.
Yep.
I think
Obama 2.0.
Yeah, but he's not. He's neither competent nor good-willed. I don't think. I think he's self-serving.
And he's boring.
He's a sociopath.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just look at Biden as the puppet for the CCP. That's it. Biden's so out there. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what he's doing at this point. He is a fucking puppet.
And what amazing. Go ahead.
The CCP and the DNC, I would say, are just in cahoots. You're talking about. I mean, yeah, he's a puppet, but he's a puppet for just the entire welcome to the socialist states of America.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
I'm uncomfortable right now. This place has gone fucking crazy.
Yeah, and the whole deal. What I don't understand is how these fucking idiots can make deals with China, not thinking that China is going to jip them on it, because that's literally what the fuck they do.
Care.
They don't.
China's not jipping them. They're still getting paid. China's screwing us. The fact that we're getting screwed means nothing to Biden because he's made everybody in his family a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, decent. You're right.
I mean, the government is nothing but a bunch of people profiting off of the American people. And the fact that they don't care about us when they look at the border, and the fact that anybody who comes across is taking something away from an American citizen, because for the Dems it means power.
Well,
and everything they do like that.
All these politicians are going to be the first ones on the wall.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
But that's why they don't want you to have guns, because they don't want you to be able. They want to be putting you against the wall and you not having any way to stop it. I mean, I think that's the only thing that they've really got standing between. That's the only thing that's standing between us and us becoming the communist states of America. The fact that there's still enough of a fear there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still trying to chip, and they're trying to use emotional manipulation. But everything they look at, that $1 trillion bill. That multi-trillion-dollar bill that they passed is going to make all of them million. They're going to have their friends and their family and themselves. I mean, the idea that they went after Trump, the idea that they tried to make it sound like Trump was going to profit from being a president. You're talking about people you're talking about people who for decades did nothing
but profit
off of being politicians. They weren't building anything. They weren't making anything. They were stealing from us and selling us out to the highest bidder in other countries.
Yeah, how did Maxine Waters become a multimillionaire?
Yeah, why does Nancy Pelosi have her own vineyard? Why is Joe Biden and everybody in his family a multimillionaire when he's a fuck up who barely graduated law school?
Pelosi's family has been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and her whole family's in the game.
Mom,
Yes.
Mob.
It goes back years.
Mm-hmm.
Pelosi came up in the game.
A century, and the Gettys are part of her circle, and the Gettys were the accountants to the mobster stars, and they were also their own little issue. But y'all know who the Gettys are because they're the ones that funded the Getty Institute.
Well, shit, fam. I think it's time to go ahead and let's chill out and call it a night, man. This has been a good show. I appreciate everybody bearing with me on that slog. I usually don't do anything like that, but this was pretty. I don't know. I hope it made sense to everybody. Why I did it the way I did it in the order I did it in.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Connecting those dots.
Indeed, because you can't wiggle out of the. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What is it? You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you won't get fooled again.
Yeah, shame on me.
You won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was W, man.
W.
Yeah.
Oh man, that pisses my girls off.
And man, all right. So, all right. A is for Timma.
Hey, so I'm gonna get nerdy and go into a genre that's really odd. You probably wouldn't associate me with, and that is Tom McDonald put out a song today directed towards Eminem. And if you like Eminem at all, I think you should go listen to the song and leave a
Eminem
comment.
hasn't been good for a while.
Eminem is just one of the dudes who's like, I'm from Detroit. He wasn't from fucking Detroit. He was from Wayne County.
I know, but
All
Tom
right.
McDonald did a good thing on it, so y'all should go check that out.
Okay. Becca Fairley.
Another episode of Fairly Just Becca tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I always do this and shill it, and then Project Graduation ruins it. But as far as I know, there's nothing on the schedule for that, so I will be streaming tomorrow night.
Sweet. She gone?
I'm gonna show for having pet rats because they're awesome. And
Cool.
then also, next Thursday we're gonna be doing informative massacre porn again, or mix it up, whatever, and that'll be 7 o'clock Central on Boobonic for you.
I look forward to more fast food menus.
Oh yeah, that kinda goes too, yeah. I know. I was so hungry by the end of it, and so angry too.
All right, Aaron Bell, our wonderful guest tonight. I hope you had a good time. I know it kind of gets a little heated in here because we got so many people, smashed in here.
Oh no, this was not heated at all. I mean, no, it was very nice. Thank you for having me. I didn't think I've been in like screaming matches with people on the right, so this to me was not even like a little bit.
I've watched you on Drone Tech's stream, so
No, I know I get a little loud, and I apologize. That
No, you did great. And we appreciate.
It was very interesting to, listen and hear people's perspectives.
You got anything you want to show?
No, I'm finishing a book. When I finish, it's a sci-fi book. Maybe I'll send you the link, but I have to finish first. And my other books are not kind of thing I tell people. They write those under a different name.
Oh, cool.
You don't have a Twitter or anything you want me to throw in?
I quit Twitter. I do not miss that.
Dude, you're not alone, man.
Yeah. I'm down
Get rid
to
of
Gab, Parlor, and Discord. That's it. And I don't miss any of the. I mean, I can't say I don't read tweets anymore at all, but I refuse to have like an account with them anymore.
Yeah, I'm kind of pissed off at him too. I got booted back in October and haven't been back.
I just, it's not. Just don't think it's healthy. But maybe I'm old. I don't know.
All right, Roasted. What you got coming up, Bob?
I'm still working on trying to get my mojo back so that I start making videos again. I'm working on one right now. Hopefully it will actually post on Sunday.
Sweet. And I'll be interviewing your significant other on Sunday. I'm excited. The one and only Colleen Bernier.
We're all excited, I think.
I know, man. Stone Monkey, what about you got coming up?
I will be streaming on Twitch tomorrow at some point, I'm sure, and definitely Sunday. I guarantee is Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, aka 9 p.m. Eastern time. I stream for 2 hours.
Okay.
I don't have any kind of certain game I play. I just play whatever the hell I can think of at the time.
Yeah, just
good stuff.
Shoot the shit. It's good
Buy
stuff.
my merch.
Yeah, buy this new T-shirt, man. It's wicked, y'all.
Do it.
Yeah. If you want to put a link in there, man, do it. Stone Monkey.
Find it.
All right,
A
man.
link for his Twitch.
Let's ask Trippy. What do you got coming up?
Oh, I don't know stuff. I do streams a lot. So, yeah. Like Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's what I've been doing lately.
Sweet.
And yeah, random shit too. Sometimes I do a Saturday stream. I don't know.
That's right. Well, like I said, it's all right, prostate. Tomorrow night on XD, I don't know what we're going to do, but it'll piss you off. What?
I think we're doing that new discourse article about critical race theory or intersectionality meeting the courts. So.
That's going to be, yeah. Oh, well, you talk about getting pissed off, man. That's, oh my God.
Oh my God. And I'm such a linear and literal person.
It's like, you know, I've never contemplated begging to be lobotomized before.
Oh, you know.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I paid the money to buy the Cynical Theories book. I have been trying to read it. I just need new glasses, but it's very,
yeah.
It's very dry and it makes me want to scream because I really I don't like racism.
All right, so Sunday I said I'll be interviewing Colleen Bernier, the one and only, and Monday Becca and I are we're gonna be looking at Polyakov, but the media that I have to work with talks more about the Cold War spying, and the back and forth between the U.S., Great Britain, and the East and the West. We'll just say it that way. But I put together something for that, so we should have fun. It's always a fun show, and occasionally Facebook lets us keep it on, but not recently. Facebook no like me, and that's okay because Mark Zuckerberg.
They like to lose the appeals.
They do, don't they?
They do. They keep winning.
Indeed. All right, and on that note, let's everybody say goodbye, and we're out.
Later.
Asta.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. You make the show what it is.
Are you trying to have sex with me? Are you trying to have sex with me? Are you trying to have sex with me?